The first thing Matt Murdock felt was the air changing. It was not the air itself, it was the pressure in it. The sound that should not exist. A tear. A ripping noise that didn't come from anything in the world. He was mid-swing over a street he knew by heart. A familiar grid of echoes. A familiar river of footsteps. Then the sound broke the map in his mind like someone had punched a hole through it. His line snapped. He dropped. Matt twisted in the air. He hit the ground hard, rolled, and came up on one knee with both batons in his hands. He waited for the city to speak back. It did. Too much. The street was loud in a way. New York was loud, but also wrong. The echoes didn't match the buildings. The traffic had a strange rhythm. The voices were sharp and excited, like a crowd at a show. He turned his head, listening. There were cameras, hundreds of them, not just phones. Drones above, shoulder rigs, boom mics, people counting down. 3, 2, 1. A man's voice barked. Smile bigger, A-Train. Bigger. Matt's jaw tightened. A-Train. The name hit him like a cold coin. He moved forward, fast and quiet. Each step was measured. His radar sense drew the space in simple shapes. Walls, doors, cars. People packed tight, shoulder to shoulder. He heard a woman laugh too hard. He heard a child being told where to stand. He heard something else. A real sound. Metal sliding. A gun coming out. A nervous breath. A heartbeat that didn't match the rest. Then shots. The crowd screamed, but even that scream felt like part of the event at first. Like they didn't know if this was supposed to be real. Matt knew. He ran straight into the chaos. A man with a pistol fired again, aiming high, not at A-Train, but at the people. Matt snapped his baton out. It struck the gun hand. The pistol clattered to the pavement. Matt's other hand caught the man by the collar and yanked him down, hard, away from the crowd. 2 more guns, 2 more heartbeats racing. Matt slid under a swinging arm, hooked a leg, and dropped one attacker flat. He didn't stop moving. He couldn't, not with civilians behind him. He shouted, "Get down, hands over your head." People stared at him instead. Someone screamed, "Is he part of the show?" Matt didn't answer. He grabbed a metal barricade and shoved it sideways, making a shield. Bullets pinged into it. Sparks flew. He heard where every round hit by the tiny ring it made. He leaned out, tossed a baton. It struck another gunman in the wrist with a clean crack. The gun fell. Matt rushed in and used 2 fast strikes shoulder, ribs to shut the man down without killing him. A-Train was there now, fast enough to be a blur to normal eyes. Matt could track him by wind and footsteps that barely touched ground. A-Train laughed, loud and bright. "Yo, what is this? A new gimmick?" Vaught did not tell me about Devil Guy. Matt stepped between A-Train and the closest civilians. "There are people behind you." A-Train waved at cameras like they were his real family. "Relax. This is great. We can sell." Another shot rang out. Not from the attackers. From somewhere higher. Matt's head snapped. He heard the rifle breath. He heard the aim. He heard the calm. The shooter was trying to make it exciting. Matt jumped. He ran up a set of steps and kicked off a wall. He grabbed the railing, swung, and launched himself onto a low roof. His boots hit. His hands found the sniper's weapon. He twisted it out of line and slammed the butt into the shooter's shoulder. The shooter cried out and dropped the rifle. Matt pinned him and growled. Why? The man's heartbeat was wild, but behind the fear was something else. Greed. We get paid for this, the man stammered. It's content. It's what they want. Matt's throat went dry. Paid. For this? Below, the crowd was filming. Not helping, not running. Filming. He looked down, and his senses drew a huge banner. A giant screen. A logo he didn't know, but he could feel how much the world around it cared. Vaught. He'd heard the name in passing once, in another case, another rumor, back when he'd still believed every powerful company at least pretended to be clean. Here, it wasn't pretending. A-Train was still smiling at the cameras. Say hello to your new hero friend. The, red guy. Matt dropped back down. landing in a crouch. He pointed at the cameras. "Turn them off." A-Train blinked, offended. "Bro, what?" Matt took one step toward him, and his voice stayed calm, but it had steel in it. "People nearly died. You're posing." A-Train's grin shrank. "You don't talk to me like that." Matt tilted his head, listening harder. Then he heard it. A new sound above everything. A slow, heavy heartbeat. Strong and steady, like it believed it owned the world. The air shifted again, like a storm arriving. People looked up, cheering before they even saw who it was. Matt didn't cheer. He tracked the shadow drifting down from the sky. Boots. Cape. A smile that was too perfect. Homelander landed on a nearby truck like it was a stage. He waved at the crowd, flashing lights, screams, chants. Then his eyes locked on Matt. The smile stayed on his face, but his heartbeat did something small and sharp. It changed. Homelander's voice came out gentle. "Hey there." Matt didn't move. His baton stayed in his hands. Homelander's smile finally slipped, just a little. "You're not one of ours." And Matt realized with a cold certainty that the hero in front of him was not here to help. He was here to control. Matt backed into the noise, into the crowd, into the blind spots he could still find. He vanished before the cameras could decide if this was part of the show or the start of something worse. Matt ran until his lungs burned. Not because he was tired, because the city was too loud. Every block had screens. Every corner had speakers. Every building had security, hum, and hidden fans. He stopped in an alley behind a row of dumpsters, pressed his back to brick, and tried to make sense of what his senses were telling him. New York, but not his New York. And in this New York, superheroes were celebrities. He heard sirens, but they were slow, like they were waiting for permission. He heard police radios, but the words were careful and vague. He heard a van door slide open nearby. He heard soft shoes, not police boots. He heard people trying to hide their breath. Matt tightened his grip on his batons. "All right," a rough voice said from the alley entrance. "Don't do anything stupid." Matt turned toward the voice. 6 heartbeats. One of them was steady and controlled. Angry, but used to anger. One was nervous and fast. Young. One had a strange pattern, like a person trying to stay brave while scared. One was calm and heavy, like a person who had held a line for a long time. One was quiet in a way that felt injured, but not weak. And one moved with a smooth, careful grace that reminded Matt of trained people. They weren't cops. Matt stepped forward, slow. "Who are you?" The nervous heartbeat spoke first, voice thin but honest. "We're not with them." The rough voice snorted. "That's one way to say it." A woman stepped into the weak light of the alley. Matt's senses caught her shape, her posture, the tiny crackle of electricity around her skin like a soft buzz. Not in his world. In this one, maybe normal. She said, "I'm Annie. People call me Starlight." Matt's head tilted. Starlight. He tasted the name like a test. The heartbeat behind it was complicated. Fear, anger, hope, and something like shame. The rough voice stepped in beside her. He smelled like smoke and cheap alcohol and old leather. His heart was a hard drum. He said, "Billy Butcher." Matt listened to the way Butcher said his own name, like a warning. The nervous one stepped closer, hands half raised like he didn't want to fight. "Huey." The calm, heavy one said, "Mem." The smooth, careful one didn't say anything at first, but Matt heard tools on him. Small metal, wires, a loaded plan. Frenchie. And the quiet, injured heartbeat, Kimiko. Matt guessed, not by name, but by the way she carried pain like a weapon. Butcher looked Matt up and down. Red suit, sticks, gymnast stuff. "You some kind of ninja?" Matt didn't answer right away. He didn't want to say his name. Not here. Not in a city where cameras were everywhere and a flying man with a perfect smile could drop out of the sky. He said, "I stop people who hurt others." Butcher laughed, not happy. "Oh, you're gonna love it here, mate." Starlight stepped between them. "Just a little. We saw what you did back there. You saved people. Matt kept his face blank. Someone was shooting into a crowd. Huey swallowed. Yeah, that's kind of normal for them. Matt's chest tightened. Normal? MM's voice was calm, but tired. If we stay talking in an alley, you'll be normal too. As in dead. Frenchie finally spoke, voice warm and strange. Come with us, Red Man. We can explain. And maybe you can explain what the hell you are. Matt's jaw flexed. I'm not a soup. Butcher's heartbeat jumped once. Interested. Not a soup, Butcher repeated, as if he was testing the words for truth. Matt stared straight ahead, eyes open but not seeing. I don't know how I got here, but I heard that man. Homelander. He is dangerous. Starlight's heartbeat pinched. Yes. Butcher's mouth curled. Now we're speaking the same language. Matt made a choice. Not because he trusted them, because he had no other safe option in a city owned by cameras. Take me somewhere quiet, he said. Frenchie grinned. Ah, you will hate this world. Their safe place was not a base with bright lights and screens. It was a broken building with boarded windows and a smell of old damp wood. Still loud, still not quiet, but quieter than the street. Matt stood in the center of a room and listened. He heard locks. He heard weapons being checked. He heard whispers. He heard lies too. Small ones. We're just talking. We won't hurt you. The kind people tell when they want to believe them. Matt didn't call it out right away. He didn't want to fight. He wanted answers. Butcher leaned against a wall like he owned it. All right, devil boy. Explain yourself. Matt's head turned toward him. Don't call me that. Butcher smirked. Touchy. Stepped forward with a steadier tone. We need to know what we're dealing with. Matt nodded once. Fair. Huey blurted. How do you know where we are without looking? Matt didn't smile, but his voice softened a little. I can hear. Better than most people. Frenchie clapped his hands once. Better than most people. He repeats, like it is a joke. Understatement of the year. Starlight watched Matt closely. You were moving like you've done this a lot. Matt's hands tightened around his batons. I have. Butcher pushed off the wall. Prove it. Matt didn't move. Butcher stepped closer and tried to fake a punch, stopping short. Matt caught his wrist and twisted just enough to make a point, not enough to break it. Butcher hissed, more surprised than hurt. Matt let go. That's enough. Huey's eyes were wide. He didn't even flinch. Butcher shook his hand, grin creeping back. All right, that's fun. Now tell us your name. Matt hesitated. His name had power. Names became weapons in the wrong world. He stopped himself. Starlight noticed. You don't have to. Butcher rolled his eyes. Oh, spare me. Matt took a breath. I'm a lawyer. The room went still for half a second. Then Butcher burst out laughing. A lawyer. In a mask. Brilliant. Huey looked confused. Wait, you're actually a lawyer? Matt nodded. In my world, I use the law in the day and I do this at night. Frenchie leaned in like he was watching a magic trick. Double life, très dramatic. Rubbed his face. Okay, that explains why you keep saying things like police and report, like those words mean something. Matt's jaw tightened again. They do mean something. Butcher's voice sharpened. Not here. Starlight cut in quick. Some of us still try. Matt's senses caught her honesty. It was real. He gave his backstory in short beats, because long stories were for safe places. I was blinded as a kid. A chemical accident. I trained. I learned to fight. I protect my neighborhood. I don't kill. Butcher's heartbeat hitched at that last part. Don't kill, Butcher repeated, like he'd tasted something sour. Matt's voice stayed steady. No. Butcher's eyes narrowed. That's gonna be a problem. Matt looked his way. For you. Huey made a small sound, like he wanted to laugh but didn't dare. Held up a hand. Let's keep this simple. You saved people. That's good. But if Homelander wants you, then you just walked into the worst cage on Earth. Matt didn't need the explanation. He'd heard it in the air around Homelander. "What is Vought?" Matt asked. Starlight answered, "Quiet. A company. They own the heroes. They own the story." "And Homelander?" Matt asked. Butcher answered, smiling with no humor. "He's their crown, their god, their nightmare." Matt looked down, thinking fast. In his world, he knew how to fight criminals. He knew how to fight trained men. He knew how to fight monsters wearing suits and calling themselves kings. But a flying, near-invincible man who smiled for cameras? That was a different kind of enemy. He asked, "Why did you come for me?" Butcher shrugged. "Because you embarrassed them. That means you're either useful or dead soon." Huey said quickly, "We can help you." Butcher shot him a look. "We can use him." Starlight's voice went cold. "He's a person." Butcher's smile stayed. "So are we. And look at us." Matt listened to their heartbeats, the way their pain was stitched together into a team. He said, "You're fighting them." Nodded. "We try." Matt asked, "How?" Frenchie spread his hands. "With tricks. With planning. With blackmail. With luck." Kimiko's quiet heartbeat shifted. She didn't speak, but Matt heard what it meant. Survival. Butcher stepped closer again. "Here's the deal, mate. You help us. We keep you alive." Matt answered no. The word hit the room like a slap. Butcher's smile dropped for the first time. "No?" Matt stood straight. "I won't be your weapon." Huey's breath released, like he'd been holding it. Starlight's heartbeat eased a fraction. Looked relieved, even if he tried to hide it. Butcher's anger rose like heat. Then Matt added, "But I will help you save people, and I will help you expose them the right way." Butcher barked a laugh again. The right way. Matt didn't blink. Evidence. Witnesses. A chain that holds. Butcher stared at him like he was crazy. Then he leaned in and spoke low. "This isn't your Hell's Kitchen. This world eats the right way for breakfast." Matt's mouth tightened. "Then it's going to choke." A long silence. Then Starlight said, "We can work with that." Nodded slowly. "We tried his way once." Frenchie raised a finger. "But we must also, how you say, keep the bad options ready." Butcher's heartbeat settled into something sharp and pleased. "Fine," Butcher said. "One try. Your way." Matt heard the lie in it. Not a full lie, but a half-truth with a knife behind it. Butcher would try until it stopped serving him. Matt filed that away. "Then we start now," Matt said. "We find out who set up that shooting. We protect whoever they want to silence." Butcher rolled his shoulders. "Jesus. Paperwork." Matt turned his head, listening to the building, to the street, to the world beyond. "Also," he said, "if anyone can stop slamming doors, I'd appreciate it." Frenchie grinned. "Ah, the devil wants quiet. In New York. In this New York." Huey, trying not to smile, said, "Good luck." Across the city, in a clean office with clean lines and no clutter, Stan Edgar watched a screen. The footage was crisp. A masked man in red moved through gunfire like he'd practiced in hell and learned all the exits. Edgar didn't flinch. He didn't lean forward. He didn't show interest the way normal people did. He simply studied. Who approved this? Ashley's voice shook as she stood beside him. Her nails were chewed down. Her eyes were too wide. Edgar didn't look at her. No one approved it. A second screen showed Homelander landing. The moment Homelander's smile changed, Edgar's eyes narrowed slightly. Just enough to mean he noticed. Ashley swallowed. "We can spin it. Terrorist. Foreign. Some new." Edgar held up a hand. She stopped. He pointed at the masked man on screen. He fought like a professional, not like a soupe, not like an amateur. Ashley's voice cracked. "What is he?" Edgar finally looked at her. "An anomaly." Ashley blinked. What?" Edgar turned back to the screen. "Something that doesn't belong in our system." He tapped a button. A file opened. Facial scan results. Movement pattern analysis. A list of guesses that didn't match anything. Edgar said, "Find him." Ashley nodded too fast. We will. We'll send Noir. We'll send... Edgar cut in. Bring him in if possible. Ashley hesitated. If possible? Edgar's tone stayed calm. If he can be controlled, brand him. If he can't be controlled, bury him. Ashley's mouth went dry. And Homelander? Edgar's eyes flicked to the frame where Homelander stared at the masked man. Keep Homelander informed, Edgar said. Just enough, Ashley whispered. He's going to take this personally. Edgar replied, yes. He watched the footage one more time. The masked man had stood between bullets and strangers. That was not a product. That was a problem. High above the city, in a quiet place that belonged only to him, Homelander stood at a window and smiled at his own reflection. The smile looked right. His heartbeat did not. He could still feel the moment. The way the crowd had cheered before he landed. The way the cameras had loved him. And then the way that red-masked man had not. No fear, no begging, no worship. Just a stillness, like a wall. Homelander's fingers pressed into the glass. He whispered, almost happy, "You're not from here." And somewhere deep in him, the need to own everything sharpened into a need to break one thing. The next day, the city woke up to a headline. Vought-controlled news called the masked man a threat, a terrorist, a violent stranger. Matt listened to a TV from across the safe-house room as Frenchie fiddled with a radio. The anchor's voice was smooth. The Seven responded bravely. Matt's jaw flexed. He turned toward Butcher. "We go to the police." Butcher stared at him like he'd asked to visit the moon. Huey said softly, "The police don't." Matt cut in, calm but firm. "Then we go higher. Courts, journalists, whoever still has a spine." Butcher snorted. "Mate, spines are optional in this city." Matt looked down at his hands. He could feel the old ache in his knuckles, the old weight in his chest. He thought of his own world. Corrupt cops, dirty money, powerful men who thought they were untouchable. He'd fought that. Night after night. He could fight this too. But the scale was different. The enemy here wasn't hiding. It was smiling. Starlight walked in and placed a small device on the table. "Vought is searching for you," she said. "Hard." MM added, "And we just got word. They're sending Noir." The room tightened. Matt lifted his head. "Who is Noir?" Butcher's grin returned, thin and mean. "A quiet little nightmare. And he doesn't do interviews." Matt nodded once. "Then we prepare." Butcher leaned in, voice low. "Here's the thing, Devil Boy. In a fair fight, Noir will cut you up. In an unfair fight, well..." Matt's face stayed calm. "I don't need fair." Huey blinked. "You don't?" Matt said. "I need civilians safe." Starlight's eyes softened. "That's not how most people talk around here." Matt listened to her heartbeat. The hope in it hurt. He said, "Then you've been around the wrong people." Butcher scoffed. "Oi." Matt turned his head slightly. "No offense. But also, yes, offense." Frenchie laughed out loud. "I like him." Butcher rolled his eyes. "All right, we'll do it your way. With your evidence and quiet time." Matt's voice was flat. "Yes." MM checked a map. "They'll come where there are cameras. They'll want a clean capture or a clean kill." Starlight said, "They'll want it public." Matt listened to the city again, mapping danger by sound. "Then we pick the public place," he said. "We control the exits. We control the civilians. We control the story." Butcher stared at him. "You're trying to outplan Vought." Matt's chin lifted. "I'm trying to outsave them." Butcher's grin sharpened. "Same thing, in a way. They chose a place too crowded to ignore. A festival near a subway station. Music. Food trucks. Streetlights. A sea of people. A perfect place for a hero moment. A perfect place for a trap." Matt stood at the edge of it in plain clothes, hood up, mask hidden. His suit was under his jacket. His batons were strapped where his hands could find them in a second. The noise hit him like a wall. He breathed through it. He listened past the music to the details that mattered. Footsteps, heartbeats, metal shifting. The tiny radio buzzes hidden under coats. He found them. 3 men pretending to be normal. 2 women standing too still. A cluster of heartbeats that moved together like a trained group. And then a hole in the sound. A silence that walked. Matt's neck hairs rose. Noir. He didn't see Noir. Not with eyes. He felt Noir the way you feel a storm coming. Matt lifted a hand to his ear, not because he needed it, but because it helped him focus. He caught Huey's voice through a tiny earpiece. Huey whispered, "Are you sure this is smart?" Matt whispered back, "No, but it's necessary." Butcher's voice came next. "Remember, mate, if it goes bad, we run." Matt's answer was simple. "If it goes bad, we move civilians first." Butcher didn't reply right away. Then he muttered, "Christ." Starlight's voice came through, calm but tight. "I'm on the far side. I see Vought vans 2 blocks out." said, "They're early." Frenchie chirped, "I have little surprises." Matt almost smiled. Then a child laughed nearby, a normal laugh. Matt held onto it like a rope. The vans arrived. Not with sirens, with confidence. Men in dark gear moved through the crowd like they owned it. Most people didn't even notice. They were busy filming a Soupe mascot taking selfies. Matt's stomach turned. He heard a voice in a small speaker somewhere, polite and practiced. "Attention, there is a security incident. Please remain calm." That voice was not for safety. It was for control. Matt moved. He slipped through the crowd, guiding people with light touches and clear words. "Hey, take your kid and go that way. Ma'am, exit now. Don't run, just move." People listened more than he expected. Maybe because he sounded like he meant it. Or maybe because something inside people still knew when danger was real. A man bumped into Matt. Matt felt the weight at the man's hip. A gun. Matt caught the wrist as the hand went for it. He turned the man and pinned him against a food truck with a hard, clean move. The man gasped. Matt leaned close and whispered, "Leave." The man's heartbeat spiked. He nodded fast and slipped away. Behind Matt, a shout went up. A Vought operative had grabbed a woman by the arm. "Stay where you are." Matt moved without thinking. He hooked the operative's elbow, twisted, and made the arm go slack. The man dropped to a knee with a strangled sound. Matt shoved the woman behind him. "Go." She ran. The crowd finally noticed. Phones came up like a wave. Matt hated it. The sound of recording, the little click of cameras. He heard Starlight's breath through the earpiece. "They're committing." Matt felt the space tighten. Then Noir struck. No warning, no line, no speech. A blade flashed in the air toward Matt's ribs. Matt jerked aside on instinct, not sight. The blade cut cloth, not skin. He spun, baton snapping out to strike Noir's wrist. It hit something hard. Noir didn't even grunt. Noir moved like a ghost with muscles. Fast, controlled, and cruel. Matt backed up, keeping his feet light, listening for the exact moment Noir shifted weight. Noir attacked again. Matt parried with a baton, then used the second baton to strike Noir's knee. Noir's leg buckled for half a second. Matt didn't celebrate. He used that half second to move the fight away from the crowd. He threw a baton line and snagged a metal pole, yanking it down between them like a barrier. Noir vaulted it. Matt slid under Noir's swing and hit Noir's ribs with 2 sharp strikes. Noir's body barely reacted, but Matt heard it. The small change in breathing. The tiny grunt swallowed down. Noir felt it. Matt's heart raced. Not from fear, from focus. He had fought skilled killers before. Noir was different. Noir didn't care about pain the way a normal person did. Noir cared about the job. Noir slammed Matt into a wall. Concrete cracked. Matt's lungs emptied. He rolled, sprang up, and snapped his baton into Noir's throat, not to kill, but to create space. Noir stumbled back 1 step. 1 step was enough. Matt used it to grab a nearby table and flip it, making cover for civilians behind it. He shouted down. People dropped, shocked. Kimiko exploded into the scene like a silent cannonball. She slammed into 2 operatives, sending them flying. Frenchie's voice came through, excited. "Ah, there is the girl." Dragged a terrified family behind a barrier. Starlight stepped into view, eyes bright, hands raised. Light blasted out, not as a beam, but as a wall. It forced operatives to flinch and cover their eyes. Matt's hearing screamed at the sudden crackle, but he pushed through it. Noir moved around Starlight's light like he'd planned for it. Noir went straight for Matt again. This was personal now, or it was going to become personal, because Noir wanted to understand what Matt was. Matt breathed in. He listened. He found the shape of Noir's blade, the angle of his shoulder, the timing between strikes. Matt met Noir in the tight space between 2 vendor carts, where the crowd couldn't swarm, where guns had less room. They traded fast hits. Noir's strength against Matt's precision. Matt couldn't overpower him. So Matt did something else. He attacked Noir's tools. He hooked the blade arm and slammed it into the cart edge. Metal rang. Noir's grip loosened. Matt kicked the blade away. Noir replaced it with another weapon like it was nothing. Then the world screamed. A sonic blast hit the station area. Not music. Not normal sound. A focused weapon. Matt's body reacted before his mind could. His hands flew to his ears. His knees buckled. His radar sense became a mess of pain and bright noise. He tasted blood in his mouth. He heard Butcher curse. They brought the bloody noise cannon. Matt forced one breath in, then another. He couldn't stay down, not with people screaming. He opened his eyes even though they didn't help. He used them anyway. He used every scrap of sense he had. He crawled behind a pillar, shaking. Starlight's light flickered as she tried to shield civilians. Kimiko grabbed a man and shoved him out of the blast zone. Dragged Huey by the collar, shouting, "Move!" Matt pressed his forehead against the pillar and focused on one thing. A heartbeat. His own. He slowed it. He found the edges of the sonic wave. The gaps between pulses. He didn't ignore it. He worked around it, like walking around broken glass. He stood up. Noir was already coming. Matt met him halfway, body still trembling, but mind locked in. He used the pillar to block the next strike. He rolled, came up behind Noir, and struck the back of Noir's knee again, harder this time. Noir dropped to one knee. Matt took the chance and grabbed Noir's shoulder, using leverage to slam him into the metal side of a van. The van dented. Noir didn't go down. But for the first time, Noir hesitated. It was tiny. A question. "What are you?" Matt didn't answer. He heard something else. The air changing again. The crowd's scream shifting into a different scream, half fear, half worship. A cape snapped in the wind like a flag. Homelander. He dropped from above and landed in the street with a soft thud that still felt heavy. The sonic weapon cut off at once, like someone had turned it off because the boss had arrived. Homelander smiled at the cameras, hands open. Everyone, he said, voice warm. "Stay calm. We're here." People cheered through tears. Matt's stomach turned. Homelander's eyes found Matt instantly. He didn't need radar. He didn't need help. He just knew. Homelander walked forward slowly, like he wanted everyone to watch. Noir stepped back, giving space without being told. Butcher's voice crackled through Matt's earpiece, low and urgent. "Run." Matt didn't run. Not yet. There were too many people. Homelander stopped a few steps away. Up close, the man's heartbeat was a steady machine, but under it was something else. A hunger. "You again," Homelander said softly. "You really like the spotlight." Matt's voice was calm. "I'm trying to keep people alive." Homelander laughed gently, like Matt had told a cute joke. "That's my job." Matt turned his head a fraction, listening to Homelander's breath. It was even controlled, but his heartbeat jumped when Matt didn't back away. Matt said, "You don't believe that." The smile stayed. The heartbeat changed again. Homelander leaned in slightly. What did you say? Matt didn't raise his voice. He didn't grandstand. He simply stated a fact like he would in a courtroom. I can hear you, Matt said. I can hear when you lie. I can hear when you get angry. I can hear that you're enjoying this. For a second, Homelander's eyes went flat. The cameras kept rolling. The crowd held its breath. Homelander spoke through his teeth without moving his lips much. That's a fun trick. Matt didn't flinch. He forced his body to stay steady, even though every part of him screamed to move. I'm not here to fight you, Matt said. I'm here to stop the people who put civilians in danger. Homelander looked past Matt at the crowd, then back. They're scared, he said sweetly, and they want to feel safe. His gaze sharpened. You're making that difficult. Matt heard it. Homelander's heart wanted one thing, a reaction, fear. Matt gave him none. Behind Homelander, the Vought operatives tightened their circle. Starlight's voice came through the earpiece, strained. He's going to do something. Butcher hissed. He's always doing something. Matt looked at the crowd, at the families, at the phones. If Homelander attacked here, people would die. Not because Homelander couldn't avoid it, but because he wouldn't care enough to try. Matt made the only move that fit his code. He turned away from Homelander. Not in surrender. In purpose. He sprinted toward the densest part of the crowd and shouted, "Clear the street! Go inside the station! Move!" People hesitated. Then MM's voice boomed. Move! Kimiko shoved people physically into motion. Starlight blasted a bright flare into the air, like a signal. The crowd finally surged away. Homelander's head tilted. His smile returned for the cameras. See? Order. That's what I do. Matt heard Homelander shift his weight. A step. A lunge. Matt moved first. He threw one baton hard not at Homelander's face, but at the camera drone above. It shattered midair. The crowd gasped. Homelander's eyes flashed with anger. Matt used that moment. He dove between vendor carts, grabbed Huey by the shoulder as Huey stumbled, and yanked him into a side hallway. Huey yelped. Ow, what? Quiet, Matt said automatically, then realized how stupid it sounded in a stampede. Huey's eyes went wide. You just said quiet during. Matt shoved him forward. Move. They ran into the subway station, where the noise became a different kind of noise. Echoing. Hard. Dangerous for Matt, but also full of angles. Noir followed, silent as a shadow. Homelander didn't rush in right away. He hovered at the entrance, letting cameras catch him as the calm hero outside the chaos. Then he spoke, loud enough for everyone to hear. Run, Homelander called, voice bright and friendly. I'll still find you. Matt's heart slammed in his chest. He grabbed a railing and vaulted down a flight of stairs, pulling Huey with him. Huey half ran, half fell. I hate cardio, he gasped. Matt didn't answer. He listened. He found Starlight moving above, trying to steer people away. He found MM's heavy steps, keeping the group together. He heard Frenchie's tools clinking, the sound of him setting something up. He heard Kimiko's soft footfalls, close, ready to catch anyone who fell. And behind them, he heard Noir, relentless. Matt whispered into his earpiece. He's coming, Butcher replied, harsh. Good, lead him. Matt hated that, but he also understood it. This was the boys' world. They didn't get fair fights. They got one shot to turn a monster's move into a mistake. Matt said, No civilians. Butcher answered, No civilians. Matt could hear the lie was not there this time. Butcher meant it, because dead civilians were messy. Because dead civilians were bad for leverage. Because even Butcher, in his own twisted way, knew where to draw a line today. Matt led Noir deeper into the station, toward a maintenance corridor. Frenchie's whisper came through. Now, now, now. A burst of smoke filled the hallway. Not deadly, just thick. Matt's radar sense was a mess again, but it also gave him something Noir didn't have. A map. Matt moved through the smoke like he owned it. Noir swung blindly for half a second. Matt struck Noir's wrist, then his elbow, then his shoulder. Fast, clean, controlled. Noir grabbed Matt by the jacket and slammed him into a wall. Matt's ribs screamed. He gritted his teeth and used Noir's grip to pivot, rolling out and breaking contact. He couldn't win. Not by beating Noir down. He could win by escaping. By living. By keeping the team alive. Matt heard the shift in air behind them. Homelander had entered the station. Not running. Walking. Like a man strolling through his house. Matt's skin went cold. Butcher's voice came through, urgent now. Out. Now. Matt made a decision. He yanked open a maintenance door and shoved Huey through it. Go, Matt said. Huey stumbled inside and looked back. What about you? Matt's voice stayed steady. I'll follow. He slammed the door half shut, then turned to face Noir one more time. Noir stepped forward. Matt raised his batons. And then Homelander's voice echoed down the corridor, calm as a knife. There you are. Matt didn't run because he was brave. He ran because staying meant people died. He turned and sprinted after Huey into the dark maintenance tunnel. Behind him, Noir chased. And behind Noir, a god in a cape followed at his own pace, smiling for nobody now. Matt's chest burned as he ran, and one thought repeated in his mind, simple and clear. This world doesn't want a real hero, so he would have to be one anyway. Matt did not know how long they ran. In the maintenance tunnel, the air was wet and heavy. Water dripped from pipes in slow beats. The sound helped him. It gave him a steady rhythm to hold on to. Huey's breathing was loud beside him. Too loud. Panic loud. Left, Matt said, catching a change in airflow. There's an open door. How do you? Huey started. Please, Matt said, and even he heard how sharp it came out. He forced his voice softer. Just trust me. They slipped through a side door and into a narrow service hallway. Matt listened fast. Noir was still coming, but he had slowed. Not tired, just careful now. He had felt Matt's timing in the smoke. He was learning. Homelander was behind Noir, but not right on top of them. That was worse. It meant Homelander didn't need to hurry. Matt found the others by sound before he saw them. MM's boots, Starlight's small crackle, Frenchie's tools, Kimiko's light, fast steps. Butcher's voice came low in his ear. You alive? Matt answered, yes. Good, Butcher said. Now keep being alive. Frenchie hissed, this way, hurry. They moved through another door and up a tight stairwell. Starlight pushed a metal bar into place behind them. Not to stop Homelander, just to slow anyone else. MM grabbed Huey's shoulder. You okay? Huey wheezed. No. Butcher snorted. Even now. He's fine. Kimiko touched Huey's arm once, quick. A small check. Then she looked at Matt. Her eyes were hard, not angry, just serious. Matt nodded to her. A simple thank you. They burst out into a back alley, 2 blocks from the station. The city noise hit them again. Matt's head pounded from the sonic blast. The world sounded like it had sharp edges. He blinked hard. His ribs hurt. His suit under his jacket felt tight where the wall had hit him. Starlight leaned close. Can you walk? I can, Matt said. Butcher pointed down the alley. Van. They piled into a stolen delivery van that smelled like old bread. Frenchie slid into the driver's seat like he'd been born there. As they rolled away, Matt listened for the thing he feared most. A wind shift. A cape snap. A heartbeat in the sky. Nothing followed. Homelander let them go. That fact sat in Matt's stomach like a stone. The safe house they used next was different from the first. Smaller, dirtier, quieter at least. It was also full of screens. Matt hated that part. A TV played in the corner. The volume was low, but it still stabbed his ears. A news anchor smiled with perfect teeth. On the screen, shaky phone footage showed the festival. Daredevil's red shape flickered between bodies. Black Noir's dark shape flashed like a shadow. Then the footage cut to Homelander landing, like a hero arriving at the last second. The anchor said, Vought sources confirm the masked attacker is connected to extremist groups. Matt's hands curled into fists. Butcher tossed a bag of ice at him. Here. Matt caught it with one hand. He pressed it against his ribs. Butcher pointed at the screen. That's how it works. They tell a story. People swallow it. Matt said, people almost died. Butcher shrugged. That's part of the story, too. Starlight turned the TV off with a sharp click. Enough? The room felt better instantly. Matt exhaled. Huey sat on a chair with his head in his hands. They're calling him a terrorist, he muttered. A devil terrorist. That sounds really dumb. It will still work, M said. Frenchie opened a small case and laid out parts. Wires, batteries, and a device with a warning label scratched off. They used a sonic weapon, he said. I can maybe make, how you say, ear protection? Matt's mouth tightened. Thank you. Frenchie grinned. You are welcome. But also you look like you want to sue the whole world. I do, Matt said. Butcher laughed, loud enough that Matt flinched. Hear that? The bloke wants to sue Vought. Matt didn't move. Yes. Butcher's laugh died down when he realized Matt meant it. You're serious, Butcher said. I'm always serious, Matt replied. Huey lifted his head. He's really a lawyer. He said it like it was normal. MM rubbed his forehead. Okay, we need to focus. Vought is going to hit hard. They'll be hunting all of us, not just him. Starlight looked at Matt. Homelander heard you. Really heard you. Matt nodded. Yes. Her voice dropped. That's bad. Matt didn't ask why. He could hear it in her heartbeat. Homelander wasn't used to being seen. Now he had been. Butcher paced. All right, new rule. Devil Boy does not go out alone. Matt turned toward him. I'm not your employee. Butcher stopped pacing. And I'm not your dad. I'm keeping you alive because you're useful. Matt's voice stayed calm. If you keep me alive by making me do the wrong thing, I'd rather die. A quiet moment. Huey looked from one to the other like he expected a punch. MM stepped between them with his hands out. We can argue later. Right now, we need a plan. Matt said, we need proof. Butcher's jaw flexed. We need a weapon. Starlight said, we need both. Frenchie snapped his fingers. Yes, a weapon is good. Proof is also good. Proof is like a weapon for the brain. Butcher pointed at Frenchie. Stop talking. Frenchie bowed slightly. No. Kimiko made a small sound, almost a laugh, without opening her mouth. It was quick and gone. Matt listened to all of them, a team made of broken pieces. He had worked with teams before. The defenders weren't smooth either. But here, the cracks were sharper. He said, in my world, when someone powerful lies, you take them to court. Butcher stared at him like he'd spoken another language. In this world, court takes you. Matt didn't back down. Then we build a case that can't be buried. Butcher's voice rose. They bury bodies, mate. You think paper scares them? Not paper, Matt said. People, witnesses, records, a chain of truth. Butcher shook his head. You're gonna get someone killed, Matt replied. People are already getting killed. I'm trying to stop it without becoming it. Starlight's eyes stayed on Matt. What do you want from us? Matt thought for a second. He heard his own heartbeat, steadying. I want you to stop treating every problem like a bomb, he said. And I want you to help me find someone they hurt. Someone who will talk. Huey's face tightened. Victims don't like talking. Not here. Matt asked. Why not? MM answered. Because the system punishes them. Because Vought pays them off. Because Vought threatens them. Sometimes all three. Matt nodded once. Then we protect them. Butcher scoffed. We protect them by putting them on a list that gets them killed. Matt's voice got colder. No, we protect them by being smart, by moving them, by making sure they don't stand alone. Butcher stared at Matt for a long time. Then he muttered, You're a bloody headache. Matt replied, You're welcome. Huey snorted before he could stop himself. Butcher glanced at him. You find that funny? Huey shook his head fast. No, sorry. Butcher sighed, like the world annoyed him. Fine. We'll find a victim. We'll find proof. He pointed at Matt. But if this goes sideways, we do it my way. Matt's chin lifted. If your way means killing people, no. Butcher's eyes narrowed. Not people. Matt understood exactly what Butcher meant. Soups. Matt said, you keep that line too. Butcher didn't answer. That was answer enough. 2 days later, Matt sat in the safe house with a cheap pair of ear protectors Frenchie had built. They helped. Not perfectly, but enough to take the edge off the city. He still hated the constant noise. He still wanted silence the way some people wanted air. Huey sat across from him, scrolling through his phone. They made memes, Huey said, miserable. About you. Like cartoon devil stuff. Matt asked, what are they saying? Huey hesitated. That you're an alien terrorist. That you hate freedom. That you attacked a hero event. Matt's mouth tightened. Lies. Yeah, Huey said. Big ones. Matt leaned back and listened to the building. He heard Butcher in another room talking to someone on a burner phone. He heard Starlight in the hallway, breathing slow, like she was steadying herself for something. Walked in holding a folder. We found a lead. Matt sat up. Who? Opened the folder. A guy named Leo Garrison. Works at a VOT-linked clinic. Not a doctor, a records clerk. Butcher stepped into the room behind like he'd been waiting to pounce. He's been trying to talk, Butcher said. To someone. Anyone. Huey swallowed. Is he safe? Butcher laughed. No. Matt stood. Then we make him safe. Butcher pointed a finger at him. That's what I'm saying. We grab him before they do. Matt asked, where is he? Answered. He has a sister, lives in Queens. He's been going there at night. Matt nodded. We go now. Starlight appeared in the doorway. Her face was pale. Bad timing, she said. Butcher frowned. What now? Starlight's voice was quiet. Ashley called me. They know someone is helping him. They're sweeping the clinics. Matt's blood ran cold. Now. They moved fast. Frenchie drove. Butcher sat in the front with a gun in his lap like it was a comfort blanket. Huey sat in the back, bouncing his knee. Matt stayed still and listened to the road. The way tires hissed, the way cars passed, the way the city breathed. When they reached the Sisters Street, Matt was the first out of the van. The neighborhood was quiet in a normal way. Kids' bikes, a dog barking far off, a TV through an open window. A life that didn't deserve to be crushed. Matt walked toward the building and stopped. He heard it. A van idling with a heavy engine. 2 blocks down. 4 heartbeats inside. Vought. He raised a hand. Stop. Butcher froze. What? Vought is here, Matt said. Down the street. Butcher's eyes sharpened. How do you know? Matt didn't answer. He didn't have time. He moved toward the building's front door. It was locked. He could hear the latch. He could hear the cheap chain. He didn't break it. He knocked. A woman's voice called, scared. Who is it? Matt kept his voice calm. I'm here for Leo Garrison. He needs to leave. Right now. A heartbeat inside spiked. A man's voice whispered, How did you? Matt kept his tone steady. Please. I'm trying to keep you alive. A chain slid. The door opened a crack. Leo stood there, thin, shaking, with tired eyes. He stared at Matt's face, then glanced at the others behind him. He whispered, Are you the devil guy? Matt didn't correct him. Not now. He said, Do you have anything with you? Files, copies? Leo swallowed. I have a flash drive. Butcher leaned in. Good man. Leo flinched at Butcher's grin. Matt heard the Vought-van doors open down the street. Boots hit pavement. Now, Matt said. Leo's sister appeared behind him, clutching a phone. What's happening? Huey said. It's okay. It's not okay, but we're helping. That made no sense, but somehow it sounded honest. Leo grabbed a jacket and shoved something into his pocket. Okay. Okay. They moved him out the back stairwell and into the alley. Matt listened. The Vought team split. 2 heartbeats moved toward the front, 2 toward the back. Fast. Matt pushed Leo toward the van. Run. Get inside. Leo stumbled, then sprinted. Butcher stepped into the alley and raised his gun. Matt grabbed his wrist. No shooting in a neighborhood. Butcher snarled. They're coming. They're not soups, Matt snapped. Butcher froze for half a second. That half second mattered. A Vought operative rounded the corner with a baton and a taser. Kimiko hit him like a truck. He slammed into a dumpster and dropped. Another operative raised a gun. Matt moved. He threw his baton. It struck the gun hard enough to knock it aside. The bullet went into a wall, not a person. Matt was already there. He hit the man's shoulder, then his wrist, then swept his legs. The man fell. NM grabbed the man's gun and tossed it into a trash bin like it was poison. Frenchie shouted from the van, "Go, go." They piled in. The van roared away. Matt sat beside Leo in the back. Leo's hands shook so hard the flash drive almost fell. Matt gently steadied it with 2 fingers. Leo looked at him. "They kill people," he whispered. Matt said, "I know." Leo stared at Matt's face. "They're going to kill me." Matt's voice stayed firm. "Not today." Butcher leaned back from the front seat and said, "And if they try, we'll make them regret it." Matt didn't like Butcher's tone, but he liked the promise. That night, in a bright Vought tower, Ashley Barrett paced in circles. Stan Edgar sat still at the head of a clean table, hands folded. Black Noir stood in the corner like a shadow with a heartbeat. Homelander sat with his feet on the table like rules were for other people. Ashley's voice shook. They pulled Leo. They pulled him right out. Edgar didn't blink. Then Leo is no longer a variable we can control. Ashley swallowed. He has a flash drive. He might have records. He might. Homelander cut in, smiling. So go get it. Ashley turned to Edgar, desperate. We can't just. Homelander's eyes flicked to her. The smile stayed. The threat was there anyway. Edgar spoke calmly, like this was a budget meeting. We will retrieve it, Ashley whispered. With Noir? Edgar glanced toward Noir. Yes. Homelander leaned forward a little. And what about the red guy? Edgar looked at Homelander now. He is an anomaly. He is drawing attention. Attention can be useful. Homelander's jaw tightened. I don't like him. Edgar's voice stayed even. You don't need to like him. You need to control your image. Homelander's eyes narrowed. His heartbeat ticked up. Edgar continued. He embarrassed you in public. Ashley flinched. She expected Homelander to explode. Homelander didn't. He smiled again, slow. He didn't embarrass me. Edgar didn't argue. He didn't have to. Homelander's fingers drummed on the table. He's going to learn, Homelander said softly. He's going to learn what happens when you don't play your part. Noir's head tilted slightly, almost like he was listening. Edgar tapped a button. A screen showed the festival footage again. It paused on the moment Daredevil had turned away from Homelander to move civilians. Edgar's voice was quiet. He has a moral code. Homelander's smile widened. Perfect. Ashley blinked. Perfect? Homelander looked at her with bright eyes. Codes break. Edgar watched Homelander for a long moment. Then he said, retrieve the flash drive. Quietly. Avoid a public incident. Homelander snorted. Quietly. Edgar didn't look away. Yes. Homelander leaned back. Bored. But his heartbeat told the truth. He was excited. In another part of the city, Victoria Newman stood in front of a mirror and practiced a smile that looked gentle. Her phone buzzed. A voice on the other end spoke in a careful tone. We have a new asset. Newman's smile didn't change. A man in a red mask. Yes, the voice said. He's not in the system. Newman's eyes flicked slightly, thoughtful. That means he can't be bought the normal way. The voice hesitated. Vought wants him buried or branded. Newman's smile warmed. Then I want him. Introduced. She ended the call and turned toward the window. A city full of fear was easy to manage. A symbol of real courage? That was either a threat Or a tool? Newman whispered to herself. Let's see which. Back in the safe house, Leo sat at a table with a cup of water he couldn't drink. His hands still shook. Huey sat beside him, trying to sound friendly. Hey, you're safe. You're safer. Leo's eyes were wide. That guy, he whispered, nodding toward Butcher. He scares me more than them. Butcher, across the room, heard it and grinned. Good. Matt sat opposite Leo, still and calm. He said, tell me what you have. Leo swallowed. Records. Payouts. Injuries. Cases that never went to police. People. They paid off. Matt's chest tightened. Victims. Leo nodded fast. And there's a folder with a code word. It's not supposed to exist. Frenchie leaned in. What code word? Leo whispered it like it could bite him. Compound V. The room went quiet. Huey's face drained. MM's jaw tightened. Starlight closed her eyes for a second. Butcher's grin spread wider. There it is. Matt's mind moved fast. In his world, a secret chemical that made heroes could explain a lot. But here, it was more than a mystery. It was the root. Matt asked, can we prove it's real? Leo nodded. The files point to a shipment, a route. Frenchie whistled. We follow the route. MM said, we verify first. No rushing. Butcher pointed at Matt. See? Proof. We're doing your proof. Matt looked at the flash drive. We need copies. Frenchie held up his laptop. Already copying. Matt nodded. Good. Then we also need a safe place for Leo. Butcher rolled his eyes. Here we go. Matt's voice was firm. He is a witness. He is a person. Butcher opened his mouth to argue. Starlight cut in. He's right. Butcher stared at her. Of course you'd say that. Starlight's voice went hard. Because I'm not a monster. Butcher's grin faded just a little. MM stepped in again. We'll move him. Tonight. Matt listened to Leo's heartbeat. Fear, yes. But also relief. Then Matt heard something outside the building. A car slowing too carefully. A door opening too quietly. Boots that matched Vought's rhythm. Matt stood so fast his chair scraped. Everyone, he said quietly. Lights off. Frenchie froze. What? Matt's head turned. We're not alone. They moved fast and silent. MM killed the lights. Frenchie grabbed the laptop. Huey grabbed Leo. Butcher grabbed his gun like it was an old friend. Matt moved to the window and listened. 3 heartbeats outside. Then 4. Then a gap in the sound. Noir. Matt's skin went cold. He whispered, Noir is here. Butcher's mouth twisted. Good. Matt grabbed Butcher's shoulder. Not good. Butcher hissed, we can't run forever. Matt's voice stayed steady. We run when civilians are in danger. Leo is in danger. Huey whispered, I'm a civilian. Butcher snapped, shut up. Matt didn't smile, but for 1 second, the edge of his mouth moved. A tiny moment. Then the door downstairs creaked. Noir didn't kick it in. He didn't need to. He simply entered like he belonged there. Matt heard the soft drag of his boots, careful on old wood. He heard a knife shift against his suit. Matt signaled with one hand. Back exit. They moved. But Noir had already placed someone there. A Vought operative grabbed the back door handle from the outside, holding it shut. Frenchie mouthed a curse. Matt stepped forward, feeling the tight hallway. He whispered, I'll make an opening. Butcher grabbed his arm. Mate. Matt pulled free. No killing. Butcher's eyes flared. Matt went anyway. He moved down the hall and stopped at the top of the stairs. Noir was below, halfway up. Noir looked up at him. Matt couldn't see the eyes, but he could feel the focus. Noir didn't rush. He climbed like a machine. Matt backed up 1 step, then another, drawing Noir into the narrow space where it was harder for guns, harder for a team, harder for chaos. Noir attacked. Matt's baton snapped out and hit Noir's forearm. Noir didn't react. Noir's blade came up. Matt twisted his torso and let the blade slice his jacket, not his skin. He struck Noir's wrist, then his elbow, then slammed a baton into Noir's ribs. Noir's breathing changed. A tiny grunt. Pain registered. Matt used that. He stepped in close and hooked Noir's arm, trying to control the weapon. Noir's strength surged. He tossed Matt sideways like Matt weighed nothing. Matt hit the wall. His bruised ribs screamed. He forced himself up. Noir was right there. Matt heard another sound now. A camera drone outside. Vought wanted footage. Matt hated that, but it gave him an idea. He shouted loud enough to carry through the house. "Leo, go!" Huey yanked Leo toward a side window. Followed. Starlight and Kimiko moved with them. Frenchie tossed a small device down the stairs. It popped with a flash and a hard crack. Matt's hearing flared with pain again, but it was nothing like the sonic cannon. He could push through it. Noir hesitated for half a second. Matt took that half second and kicked Noir's knee. Noir dipped. Matt shoved past him and ran to the side room where Huey was forcing the window open. "Out," Matt said. Huey blinked. "Out?" Matt nodded. "Now." Leo climbed out first, shaking. Followed. Then Kimiko. Then Huey. Then Starlight. Matt was last. He could hear Noir behind him, recovering. Matt slid through the window and dropped into the alley. Frenchie wasn't there. He had gone another way to bring the van around. Butcher was still inside. Matt turned his head. "Butcher." Butcher's voice came from the window, low. "Go." Matt's jaw tightened. He didn't like leaving anyone, even Butcher. Then Butcher appeared behind him, sliding out the window with a grunt like he was annoyed by gravity. They ran. Not far. Just enough to turn corners and break sightlines. Frenchie's van rolled up like a miracle that smelled like gasoline. They piled in. And once again, Homelander did not appear. He didn't need to. Vought had a hunter. And a hunter didn't need a god watching over his shoulder. Not yet. That night, as they drove, Matt's head stayed angled slightly toward the window. He listened for a pattern in the city, a bigger move. He heard it in the way sirens stayed distant, in the way police radios were quiet. The system wasn't reacting. It was waiting. Matt looked at Leo, hunched in the seat, hands gripping his knees like he could hold himself together that way. Matt thought of all the victims who never got out. All the people who signed papers because someone told them it was the only way. He made a choice. Not a loud one, not a dramatic one. A simple one. He said to Mem, "I need to meet Leo tomorrow, alone." Butcher snapped, "No." Matt didn't look at him. "Yes." Starlight frowned. "Matt." Matt paused. He still hadn't given them his name, not really. He said, "I have to do something you won't like. I have to start building this in daylight." Butcher scoffed. "Daylight doesn't work here." Matt replied, "Then we make it work." Studied him. "What are you thinking?" Matt's voice was quiet. "We find someone Leo trusts, someone who can talk, and we put them in a place where the truth has to exist." Butcher laughed. "Where? A fairy tale?" Matt answered, "A courtroom." Butcher's laugh died. Huey whispered, "Can we even do that?" Matt said, "I don't know yet." And he hated that he didn't know. But he knew one thing. If he didn't try, this world would win by default. The next morning, Starlight stood in a polished elevator that smelled like expensive perfume. Her hands were clenched at her sides. She reached the top floor. The doors opened. Vought. Ashley met her in the hallway, face tight. "Where were you?" Starlight forced her smile on. It hurt. "I had a thing," Annie said. Ashley hissed, "A thing?" Homelander is asking questions. Annie's heartbeat stayed steady. She had learned to do that. Ashley leaned in. "He's obsessed with that red guy. He thinks it's some challenge." Annie said carefully, "He should let it go." Ashley's laugh was sharp and scared. "He doesn't let anything go." They reached a conference room. Homelander was already inside, staring out a window. He turned when Annie entered, smiling. "Hey," he said like they were friends. Annie's stomach tightened. "Hey." Homelander walked closer, slow. "You were at that festival." Annie nodded. Yes. Homelander's eyes stayed bright. So you saw him. Annie kept her voice calm. I saw someone in a mask. Homelander tilted his head. Do you think he's a supe? Annie hesitated just long enough to make it real. I don't know. Homelander's smile thinned. I don't like not knowing. Annie swallowed. None of us do. Homelander stepped closer. Too close. Annie could smell him. Clean. Perfect. Then his voice dropped, softer. He didn't fear me. Annie forced herself to keep breathing. Maybe he was in shock. Homelander's eyes narrowed. No. He smiled again, wider. It was like he could see me. Annie's heart thudded. She thought of Matt hearing lies. Homelander leaned in. If you find him, you tell me. It wasn't a question. Annie nodded. Of course. Homelander's hand touched her shoulder, light. Good. He walked away, satisfied, leaving Annie standing there like a statue. Ashley let out a breath she'd been holding. Annie turned toward the door, and the smile fell off her face the second Homelander couldn't see it. Her mind screamed one clear message. Matt was right. This was not a hero. This was a man who needed to break people to feel safe. That evening, in a safe apartment across town, Matt sat at a small table with Leo. Only Huey was with them. Starlight had promised to check in later, but she couldn't risk being seen. Leo kept looking at the window like he expected Noir to appear through the glass. Matt spoke gently. Tell me about the clinic, about the files. Leo swallowed. They have a room, not official. It's where they keep settlements. People sign, then they disappear from the system. Matt's jaw tightened. No police report, no trial, just money. Leo nodded fast. And threats. Huey whispered. That's Vought. Matt asked, who runs that room? Leo frowned. A man named Grant. He works for Vought Legal. He's not like a normal lawyer. He doesn't argue. He just tells you what's going to happen. Matt's chest tightened again. He had met men like that. Men who use the law like a club. Matt asked, where is it? Leo hesitated. It's not in the clinic. It's downtown, in an arbitration office. People think it's just business. Matt nodded. We go there. Huey's eyes widened. Go there? Like, walk in? Matt said, yes. Huey blinked. You can't just walk into Vought Legal. Matt looked at him. I've walked into worse. Huey stared. Worse than Vought? Matt didn't answer. He didn't want to explain Fisk. Not now. He said, we need the files. Originals. Copies. Something that holds. Huey frowned. Butcher is going to hate this. Matt replied, Butcher hates most things. Huey almost laughed, then stopped. Yeah. Matt sat back and listened to the building. He was always listening now. He could feel the city like a living thing trying to swallow him. He wanted quiet so badly it felt like a need in his bones. But he also felt something else. Purpose. This world needed someone to push back, even if it pushed back harder. Matt looked at Leo. Do you trust me? Leo's voice shook. I don't even know who you are. Matt paused. Then he said, I'm someone who won't sell you. Leo stared at him, then nodded slowly. It wasn't trust yet, but it was a start. The next day, the boys argued in a cramped room while Frenchie taped wires to the inside of a backpack. Butcher paced like a caged animal. We're not walking into a bloody office building with a lawyer plan. Matt stood still, calm. We're not walking in as criminals. We're walking in as a problem they can't ignore. Butcher snorted. That's the same thing. cut in. Enough. Explain the plan again, Matt. Matt kept it simple. We go in quiet. We locate the file room. We copy what we can. We leave. Butcher threw up his hands. That's not a plan. That's a wish. Matt looked at him. Fine. You want details? We need 3 things. He held up a finger. Access. We get it by looking normal. Second finger. Time. We get it by creating a distraction outside the building that pulls their attention. Third finger. Escape. We map exits before we do anything. Butcher stared. You've done this before. Matt's face didn't change. Yes. Starlight stepped in, quiet. I can cut cameras for short bursts. Frenchie smiled. And I can make the distraction. Boom. Not too boom. Huey asked, what about Noir? Matt's voice went flat. Noir will come if they realize what we're doing. Butcher's grin returned. Good. Matt's eyes turned slightly toward Butcher. No killing. Butcher spread his hands. Relax. We'll just strongly discourage them. Matt didn't like that phrasing, but he let it pass. They were going anyway. The arbitration office sat in a tall building with glass doors and quiet security. It smelled like money. Matt hated that smell. It always meant someone was losing. They approached as a group, but not too tight. Not obvious. MM and Huey walked first like nervous workers. Frenchie and Kimiko stayed back as delivery. Starlight wore sunglasses and a hoodie, trying to disappear in plain sight. Butcher walked like he owned the sidewalk. Matt wore a simple suit jacket over his gear. He kept his head level, his steps even. A guard at the door held up a hand. Can I help you? Matt spoke with calm confidence. We're here for a records request. The guard's eyes narrowed. From who? Matt paused. This was the problem. Names mattered. Licenses mattered. In this world, Matt didn't exist. Not on paper. The guard leaned closer. Sir? Matt heard it in the guard's heartbeat. He was ready to call Vought the second. Matt looked uncertain. Matt made a choice that felt like stepping onto a wire. He leaned in and said quietly, there are cameras on this entrance. There are witnesses. If you make a scene, it will be messy. The guard blinked. What? Matt's voice stayed calm. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here for documents you are not paid enough to die for. The guard's heartbeat spiked, but it also showed something else. He believed Matt. Not because Matt threatened him, because Matt sounded like someone who knew how powerful people worked. Matt added, let me speak to Grant. The guard hesitated, then spoke into his radio. A few minutes later, a man came down the hall. Grant. Matt heard his footsteps, controlled, efficient. Grant's voice was smooth. Can I help you? Matt turned toward him. Yes. I represent a client who was forced into a settlement through threats. Grant smiled, but his heartbeat stayed flat. And you are? Matt paused again. He felt Huey's nervous stare. He felt Butcher's impatience like heat. He heard Starlight's breath tighten. Matt could not say his name. Not yet. So he did something he didn't like. He lied. Not about justice, about identity. I'm counsel, Matt said. Grant's smile sharpened. Not on my list. Matt nodded. Then your list is incomplete. Grant's eyes narrowed. We can do this with security. Matt's voice stayed calm. You can. He leaned closer, just enough. And if your security touches my people, Matt said softly, that will become a public incident. You can settle quietly, or you can explain to your bosses why there's a viral video of Vought legal harassing civilians. Grant's heartbeat changed for the first time. Annoyance. Grant gave a small, fake smile. Fine, 10 minutes, one room, no access to internal files. Matt nodded. Agreed. Butcher whispered behind Matt. You just lawyered him. Matt didn't answer. He hated that this was working, because it meant Grant did this all day. They were guided into a clean meeting room. Grant sat across from Matt like a man sitting across from a bug. He slid a thin folder onto the table. Here is the settlement. Matt listened to the folder hit the wood. He could hear the thickness. Too thin. This was not everything. Matt said, this is incomplete. Grant smiled. This is what we have. Matt leaned back slightly and listened. He heard a door down the hall open. A keycard beep. He heard a filing cabinet drawer slide. He heard paper shifting in bulk. His radar sense drew a rough map. The real files were nearby. Matt tapped his finger lightly on the table. A small sound. His brain measured the echo. 2 rooms away. Left hallway. Probably a records room. Matt looked at Huey. Bathroom. Huey blinked. What? Matt repeated. Bathroom. Huey stood fast. Too fast. Yeah, bathroom. Grant sighed. Down the hall. Huey left. Matt followed 2 seconds later, like it was normal. Grant watched them go, suspicious. But he didn't stop them, because stopping them would be a scene. Outside, Huey whispered. What are we doing? Matt whispered back. We're not going to the bathroom. Huey's eyes widened. Oh my God. Matt held up a hand. Quiet. Huey whispered. You keep saying quiet. Matt replied. Because it matters. They moved down the hall. Matt listened. He found the records room by sound. A hum of a small server. Paper stacked. A locked door. He touched the handle. Locked. He felt the electronic click system. He didn't have tools, but he had time. Frenchie's voice crackled in his ear. Distraction in 30 seconds. Matt said quietly. Now would be good. Frenchie replied. Yes, yes. You are boss. Outside the building, a loud pop shook the glass. Not a bomb, a smoke device and a sharp noise, enough to draw attention. Phones came out, people shouted. Security radios exploded with chatter. Matt felt the building's focus shift. Now, he took out a thin tool Frenchie had slipped into his hand earlier. A simple card and a small pick. Matt worked fast. Not magic. Skill. Click. The door opened. Huey stared like Matt had done sorcery. Matt whispered. Inside. They slipped into the records room. It smelled like paper and fear. Rows of folders. Matt listened for cameras. A faint motor hum above. One camera. He turned his head slightly. The angle suggested it covered the door in the main aisle. He whispered into his ear, Annie. Starlight answered. I'm here. Matt said, I need cameras off for 10 seconds. Starlight hesitated. 10 is a lot. Matt replied. 6. Starlight said 3. Matt didn't argue. 3. A tiny pause. Then Starlight's voice. Now. Matt moved instantly. He guided Huey to a specific cabinet drawer by echo and sound. He yanked it open. Files. Lots. Huey grabbed random stacks. Matt shook his head. No, we need the right one. He listened. He heard the paper tag with the code word. It had a thicker plastic tab. Different. He found it by touch. He pulled out a folder labeled with a simple internal code. But Leo had told him what it meant. A series of settlements tied to Compound V incidents. Matt shoved the folder into Huey's bag. Starlight said cameras back on. Matt nodded, even though she couldn't see him. He whispered, close it. Huey shoved the drawer shut. They turned to leave, and Matt froze. The hallway outside was too quiet. No footsteps. No radio chatter. A silence like a hole. Noir. Matt grabbed Huey's shoulder and yanked him back into the room. Huey whispered, what? Matt pressed a finger to his lips. Huey nodded fast, terrified. The door handle moved slightly. Noir didn't rush in. He waited. Matt listened. Noir's heartbeat was steady, controlled. He was not surprised to find them here. He had expected it. Matt's stomach sank. Noir had let them enter. Noir wanted to see what they took. Matt's mind raced. If Noir fought them here, in a narrow hall, Huey could die in seconds. Matt leaned close to Huey and whispered, when I move, you run. Do not stop. Find MM. Huey's eyes were wide. He nodded. Matt took both batons into his hands. He stepped toward the door. He opened it. Noir was there, 2 feet away. Noir's blade flashed. Matt blocked with a baton. The impact rang up his arm. He struck Noir's wrist. Noir's grip didn't break. Noir kicked Matt in the ribs. Matt's vision flashed white. Pain exploded. He didn't fall. He forced himself to stay upright and swung his second baton at Noir's knee. Noir's leg dipped for a split second. Matt used that moment to shove past Noir and into the hallway, pulling Noir away from the door. Huey bolted out behind them. Huey ran like his life depended on it. Because it did. Noir turned toward the sound. Matt stepped into Noir's path and snapped. No. Noir attacked with speed that would have killed a normal man. Matt moved by instinct and training. He used the wall, the floor, the angle of the ceiling. He didn't try to beat Noir by strength. He tried to beat him by timing. He struck at joints. He redirected the blade. He forced Noir to hit metal rails and door frames instead of flesh. Noir adapted fast. He stopped swinging wild. He started trapping. He moved in a way that reduced sound. He minimized foot scrape. He made his attacks harder to predict. Matt's radar sense struggled. For the first time since arriving in this world, Matt felt something close to fear. Not because Noir was stronger. Because Noir was learning him. Noir slammed Matt into a wall again. Matt's breath punched out. Noir's blade lifted toward Matt's throat. Matt threw his head to the side and bit down a grunt of pain. Then he did something risky. He struck Noir's helmet with his baton, hard. The sound rang. The vibration wasn't for damage. It was for information. The echo told Matt the helmet's shape, the position of Noir's head, the angle of his shoulders. Matt used that map and moved. He ducked under the blade and drove both batons into Noir's side with a brutal double strike. Noir's breathing changed. Pain, real this time. Noir stepped back one pace. Matt didn't chase. He retreated. Because this was not a duel. This was a corridor with cameras and people, and a man who didn't care about rules. Matt heard security boots rushing from the stairwell now. He heard Grant's voice shouting, "What is happening?" Matt backed down the hall, keeping Noir in front of him. Noir tilted his head slightly, like he was deciding. Then Noir threw a small device at the wall. It popped with a flash and a sharp, high squeal. Matt's hearing screamed. He stumbled. Noir moved. Matt felt a blade cut his arm. Not deep, but enough. Matt gritted his teeth and forced his body to keep moving. He heard MM's voice in his ear, urgent. "Matt, where are you?" Matt panted. "Hallway. Second floor." Butcher's voice cut in, excited. "That sounds fun." Matt snapped, "Not now." Butcher laughed anyway. Matt hit a stairwell door and shoved it open. He went down 2 steps at a time, pain and noise blurring. Noir followed. Then Kimiko appeared in the stairwell like a storm. She slammed into Noir. Noir and Kimiko crashed into the wall. Concrete cracked. Kimiko didn't speak. She just hit, fast and violent. Noir blocked, countered, and moved like an assassin. Matt didn't watch like it was entertainment. He used the moment. He grabbed Kimiko's shoulder once and said, "Go." Kimiko's eyes flicked to him. She understood. She didn't need words. She shoved Noir back and followed Matt down the stairs. They burst out into the lobby. The building was in chaos. People filming, security shouting, smoke from Frenchie's distraction still drifting in through the front doors. MM grabbed Huey, who was shaking but alive. Starlight moved at the edge of the crowd, acting like she was just another civilian. Her eyes met Matt's for 1 second. "Go." Matt nodded. Frenchie's van screeched up to the curb. They piled in. As the van pulled away, Matt heard something above the city again. A distant wind shift. A cape snap. A heartbeat in the sky. Homelander. Not close enough to stop them. Close enough to remind them he was watching. Matt sat in the back, breathing hard. Huey looked at him, eyes huge. You fought him." Matt wiped blood from his arm with a cloth. "Yes," he said. Huey whispered, "You're not a super." Matt didn't answer. His silence was the loudest thing in the van. They reached a new hideout, an empty office space MM had access to through a friend. It had thick walls. It was, finally, a little quieter. Matt stood near a window and listened to the city. His head still rang. His ribs still hurt. But he was alive. And they had something. Huey set the bag on a table with shaking hands. He unzipped it. Folders spilled out like dirty secrets. Frenchie whistled. "Ooh, look at all the evil paper." Butcher leaned over the table like a hungry man. That's what I like. MM held up a hand. Slow. We copy everything. We secure it. Matt said. And we protect Leo. Butcher groaned. Yes. Yes. The witness. Matt's voice went hard. Not a witness. A person. Butcher looked at him. For once he didn't joke. Fine, Butcher muttered. A person. Starlight watched Matt carefully. She said softly, You lied to Grant. Matt's shoulders tensed. Yes, he said. Starlight's voice was gentle but firm. You don't like that. Matt looked down. No. Huey swallowed. Are you, like, a real lawyer? Matt's jaw tightened again. In his world, he had a bar license, a life, a name that meant something. Here, he had none of that. He had a suit and a code. And he had people looking at him like he was either hope or a bomb. Matt turned away from the window and faced them. He made another choice. Not public, not dramatic, but real. He said, I need to tell you something, at least two of you. Butcher opened his mouth. Cut in. Not here. Matt nodded. Not here. He looked at Huey, then Starlight. Come with me, Matt said quietly. In a smaller side room, Matt closed the door. The silence felt like a gift. Huey hovered awkwardly. This is intense. Starlight crossed her arms. What is it? Matt took a breath. My name is Matt Murdoch, he said. I'm a lawyer. In my world, I work cases. I represent people who get crushed. Huey's mouth fell open. You have a name. Starlight's eyes softened. Matt. Matt nodded. I didn't tell you before because names are leverage here. Starlight's voice turned bitter. Everything is leverage here. Matt said, I'm not a soupe. I don't have powers like you. Huey blurted, Dude, you can hear my soul. Matt almost smiled. No, I can hear your heartbeat. Huey stared. That's worse. Starlight shook her head, almost laughing despite herself. So, you're a normal guy. Matt's voice was steady. I'm trained, but yes, I'm a man. Starlight looked down for a moment. That makes what you're doing. She stopped. More dangerous, she meant. Matt finished it for her. Harder. Huey swallowed. Why do it? Here, I mean. Matt answered without thinking. Because no one else is. Starlight's breath caught slightly. Huey's eyes got shiny. He blinked hard like he hated that. Matt added, We have files now. But files don't mean anything if people never see daylight. We need a real path, a case. Starlight nodded slowly. Vought will burn you alive for that. Matt's voice stayed calm. They're already trying. Huey whispered, Butcher is going to freak out if he finds out your name. Matt said, he can't use it if he doesn't have it. Starlight's eyes narrowed. You think he would? Matt didn't answer. Silence answered for him. Starlight sighed. Okay, we keep it between us. Huey nodded fast. Yeah, secret identity club. Matt said, Good. He opened the door. The noise of the world returned, but he carried that small, quiet truth with him now. That night, Homelander stood on a rooftop and watched a city that belonged to him. He smiled at the lights. Then his smile faded. He could still hear it, in his memory, like an insult carved into his brain. I can hear when you lie. Homelander's hands clenched. He didn't like being read. He didn't like being seen. It wasn't enough to catch the red man. He needed to break him. He needed to make him do something ugly, so the world would stop believing in him. Homelander turned his head slightly. A-Train stood behind him, nervous and sweating. Boss, A-Train said, voice too light. You wanted me? Homelander didn't look at him. Find his friend. A-Train blinked. His friend? I don't... Homelander finally turned, smiling again. You're fast. Be useful. A-Train swallowed. Okay. Sure. Homelander's voice stayed soft. He cares about civilians. A-Train nodded. Yeah. Homelander stepped closer, still smiling. So we use civilians. A-Train's heartbeat spiked. Homelander's smile didn't change. Relax. We're heroes. A-Train forced a laugh. Homelander whispered almost lovingly, we're going to teach him his code has a price. The next week became a war of small moves. Vought put up warnings about the devil terrorist. Police cruisers circled neighborhoods more, but they didn't stop crime. They just watched. People filmed everything. Matt did not like that, but he used it. He moved at night, stopping what he could. A mugging, an assault, a man cornered behind a bodega. He didn't stay to pose. He didn't speak to cameras. He left people alive and scared and confused. Some of them whispered, he's real. Others said, it's just another super. Matt hated being called a super. He was not a product. He was a person. And he was tired. In the hideout, he tried to build the case. He read files with his fingertips. He listened to recordings. He made notes in a small book. Butcher watched him one evening and said, look at you, doing homework. Matt didn't look up. It's called work. Butcher smirked. It's called boring. Matt replied, justice is often boring. Butcher leaned in, and then it gets loud. Matt finally looked up. Loud is easy, truth is hard. Butcher stared at him for a long moment. Then he said almost quiet, you're gonna get yourself killed. Matt answered, maybe. Butcher's grin returned, but there was something else behind it. And you're still doing it. Matt went back to his notes. Yes. The files they stole weren't enough. They proved settlements existed. They hinted at Compound V. But a hint was not a conviction. They needed a living person tied to it. Someone with direct access. Leo was terrified. He couldn't go public. So Matt looked for another route. A nurse. A lab tech. A driver. Someone who had seen the shipments. Leo finally gave them a name. A woman named Mara who worked nights at a Vought-connected hospital receiving injured heroes. Mara had seen things. She had tried to report them once. She had been punished. Matt decided Mara would be his client. Not just his witness, his client. When he said it out loud, Butcher groaned like he was in pain. Your client, Butcher muttered. Jesus. Matt didn't react. Yes. Nodded slowly. If she's willing, Starlight said quietly. She might be, but she'll be scared. Matt answered. Then we protect her. Frenchie raised a hand. And if protection fails, we do. Plan B? Matt looked at him. Plan B is still not killing. Frenchie sighed dramatically. Plan B is less killing. Butcher laughed. Matt didn't. They met Mara in a laundromat at night because it was one of the few places with constant noise that could hide a conversation. The machines thumped and spun, steady. Matt sat on a plastic chair across from Mara. Mara's hands were raw. Her eyes were tired. Her heartbeat was sharp with fear and anger. She said, I don't know you. Matt replied, that's safer. Mara's mouth twisted. They'll kill me if I talk. Matt said, they'll keep hurting people if you don't. Mara swallowed hard. Huey sat nearby, trying to look harmless. He looked like a scared puppy with a hoodie. Mara glanced at him. Is he with you? Huey nodded fast. Yeah, I'm not good at this. Mara almost smiled, then stopped. Matt spoke gently. Mara, you don't have to stand on a stage. Not yet, but we need your help. Mara's voice shook. Help how? Matt said, tell me what you saw. Then we get proof. Proof that can't be spun as rumor. Mara's heartbeat sped up. I saw a boy, she whispered. A kid. 12, maybe. He came in, burned, like someone cooked him. Matt's hands tightened on his knees. Mara continued, voice getting harsher, like the memory hurt. They said it was a training accident. They laughed. They called him a bad investment. Huey's face went pale. Matt asked, who said that? Mara whispered a name. Grant. And a doctor. Dr. Klein. Matt nodded slowly. Can you get me something from Klein? A record? A photo? Anything. Mara shook her head fast. No, they watch everything. Matt listened to her heartbeat. She wasn't lying. She was trapped. Then Matt asked a different question. Where do they store the intake logs? He said. Mara hesitated. She didn't want to answer. But then she did. Basement, she whispered. Old wing. They keep backups there because they think no one cares about paper anymore. Matt's mouth tightened. Paper. The thing everyone mocked. The thing that still held truth when screens could be edited. Matt said, we go to the basement. Mara's eyes widened. No. Matt leaned forward, voice calm. Not you. Us. You just tell us the layout. Mara swallowed. They have guards. Matt nodded. We'll handle guards. Mara stared at his blank eyes. Who are you? Matt paused. He couldn't tell her his name, but he could tell her the truth that mattered. I'm someone who doesn't work for them, he said, and I don't get paid to care. Mara's breathing hitched. She nodded slowly. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I'll help. Matt felt a small, sharp relief. Then he heard something outside the laundromat. A car door. Fast footsteps. A heartbeat that moved too quickly to be normal. A train. Matt's head snapped toward the sound. Huey frowned. What? Matt stood. We're leaving. Mara panicked. Why? Matt didn't answer. Because if he said A train out loud, Mara might scream, and then it would be over. They moved out the back door into an alley. Starlight and MM waited with the van. Butcher stepped forward, eyes sharp. What's wrong? Matt said, We've been followed. Butcher's grin grew. By who? Matt didn't get to answer. A train appeared at the alley entrance like a blur. He was smiling, but his heartbeat was nervous, like he didn't fully want to be here. Hey, A train called. Devil guy, wait up. Mara made a strangled sound. Huey whispered, Oh my God. Butcher lifted his gun. Matt grabbed his wrist. No. Butcher hissed, He's a super. Matt's voice stayed firm. Not here, not with her. A train stepped closer, hands up like he was friendly. Look, man, this is easy. You come with me. We talk. Homelander wants to. Matt cut him off. Tell Homelander no. A train's smile faltered. You can't tell him no. Matt stepped forward. Watch me. A train's heartbeat jumped. His eyes flicked toward Mara. Then his voice dropped. You got a witness? Matt's gut tightened. A train wasn't here by accident. Homelander had sent him to sniff out what Matt cared about. Matt said, leave. A train sighed. Man, I don't want to fight you. I don't even know what you are. But I can't go back empty. Matt heard it. Fear. Not of Matt. Fear of Homelander. Matt spoke in a low, steady tone. Then go back and tell him you couldn't find me. A-Train's laugh was weak. Yeah, and then I die. Matt nodded once. That's your choice. A-Train's eyes hardened. No, it's his. A-Train moved. Fast. But Matt moved too. Not as fast, not even close, but with timing. Matt stepped into the path where A-Train would have to pass. He swung his baton low, not to hit A-Train's body, but to strike the ground. The impact made a sharp sound and a vibration. A-Train's feet slipped for half a beat, confused by the sudden change. In that half beat, Kimiko hit A-Train from the side. A-Train flew into a wall. He bounced off, more shocked than hurt. Kimiko stood between him and the group, eyes wild. A-Train's voice rose. What the hell? Starlight stepped forward, hands glowing. Go, A-Train. A-Train stared at her. Annie? Starlight's voice went cold. Go. A-Train's heartbeat sped up again. He looked at her like he wanted to argue. Then he looked at Kimiko. Then he looked at Matt. He made a decision. He backed up fast. Fine. Fine. But this isn't done. He vanished in a blur down the alley. But Matt knew what mattered. A-Train had seen Mara. Vought would come. Matt turned to MM. Move her. Now. MM nodded. Mara was shaking. Matt spoke gently, but firm. Mara, listen to me. We're going to keep you alive, but you have to move when we tell you. Mara nodded fast, tears in her eyes. They shoved her into the van and sped away. But Matt's stomach stayed tight, because now it wasn't just Noir hunting them. It was Homelander, and Homelander had a target. That night, Matt sat alone in a quiet corner of the hideout and pressed his fingers to the stolen folders. He listened to the paper as he moved it. He could almost pretend it was a normal case. A client, a corrupt system, a powerful enemy. But then he heard a distant scream on the street outside, and then a laugh, and he remembered where he was. Huey sat beside him, hesitant. "You okay?" Matt didn't look up. "No." Huey nodded, like he understood too well. Matt said quietly, "They're going to hurt her." Huey whispered, "We won't let them." Matt finally looked toward Huey. "I can't be everywhere," Matt said. Huey swallowed. "None of us can." Matt's voice was steady, but there was a crack in it. "In my world, the law is slow, but it exists. Here, it feels like it's been hollowed out." Huey looked down. "Yeah." Matt took a breath. Then he said, "We go to the hospital tomorrow night." Huey's eyes widened. "Tomorrow?" Matt nodded. "Before they move the logs. Before they erase what Mara saw." Huey whispered, "And if Homelander comes?" Matt's answer was simple. "Then we survive." Huey stared at him. "That's it?" Matt nodded. "That has to be enough." He listened to the building again. He heard Butcher nearby, sharpening something he didn't need to sharpen. Matt didn't like it. But he also understood something now, clearer than before. This team was messy. This world was cruel. And still, people like Mara existed. People who would risk everything to tell the truth. Matt would not waste that. Not even if a god in a cape tried to crush it. The next night, the hospital looked normal from the street. Bright windows, clean signs, a security guard who smiled like he was paid to smile. Matt knew better. He stood across the road in the shadow of a parking lot light. His suit was under a dark jacket. His mask was tucked away. Frenchie's ear guards sat around his neck like a heavy collar. "Tell me again," Huey whispered beside him. "Why we can't just mail the files to someone." Matt kept his voice low. "Because they'll say it's fake. Because they'll bury it. Because they'll scare everyone who touches it." Huey swallowed. "Right. Normal." Butcher's voice came from the other side of the van. "Stop whining, and stop breathing so loud." Huey's eyes widened. "I'm sorry I'm alive." Matt almost said quiet again, then stopped himself. He didn't want to become a joke in his own head. checked the street. 2 guards at the main door, 1 at the side, cameras on the corners. Starlight stood farther back, hood up, looking like a tired college kid. Her hands were in her pockets, but Matt could hear the faint crackle in her skin when she focused. Kimiko leaned against the van, calm in the way only someone used to violence could be calm. Mara waited inside the van, trembling. Matt could hear her heartbeat even through the metal wall. Matt turned his head. "Mara, stay here. You do not come inside." Her voice shook. "If you go down there, you'll see it." Matt nodded. "I believe you." That was not enough. He knew it. But it was the start. Frenchie opened a bag and pulled out a small pack. "This is for the logs," he whispered. "And this is for the cameras. Maybe." Butcher grinned. "And this," he said, patting his gun, "is for anyone who wants to get brave." Matt's jaw tightened. He didn't fight the argument again. He just said, "No civilians." Butcher's grin stayed. Yeah. touched Matt's shoulder once. A steadying thing. "You ready?" Matt listened to the building. He found the rhythm of the guards' footsteps, the sweep of the cameras, the elevator hum, the way doors opened and closed. He nodded. "We move." Starlight spoke softly into her earpiece. "I can flicker cameras for moments, not long." Matt answered. "Moments are enough." They crossed the street in a calm walk. Not a run, not a sneak crawl. They looked like people going in for a late-night problem. The side door had a keypad. Frenchie stepped up and did something with wires that made Matt's skin itch. "Please," Matt murmured. "Quiet." Frenchie whispered back, offended. "I am always quiet." The keypad clicked. The door opened. They slipped in. Inside, the hospital smelled like disinfectant and old fear. Matt's hearing grabbed everything at once. Wheels rolling. Nurses murmuring. A distant TV playing a comedy show. A laugh track in a building full of pain. He hated it. He pushed forward anyway. They moved down a service hall. Led the timing. Starlight watched the nearest camera through a cracked doorway, counting seconds. Kimiko walked like a shadow. Butcher walked like he wanted a fight. Matt stayed near the front, not because he was the boss, because his senses could warn them faster than eyes. They reached a stairwell. Basement. Matt opened the door and listened down into the stairwell. 2 heartbeats below. 1 guard. 1 not guard. A worker. A janitor. Matt whispered, "1 guard at the bottom. We avoid him." Butcher replied, "Or we." Matt cut him off. "Avoid." Butcher rolled his eyes, but he didn't push past Matt. They went down. The basement air was cooler and heavier. The lights buzzed. Pipes ran along the ceiling like veins. Matt's radar sense drew a long hallway, old wing, the one Mara described. He found the door to the records room by the sound of paper and the faint hum of a small backup server. It was locked. Frenchie crouched and went to work. He was quiet, for real this time. Matt listened for movement. The guard's footsteps moved away, slow and bored. "Now," Matt whispered. The lock clicked. The door opened. Inside were shelves, boxes, file cabinets. Too many. Huey looked like he wanted to cry. "How do we find the right ones?" Matt stepped in and tapped a metal shelf lightly with his baton. The echo told him the room's shape. The cabinets. The gaps between shelves. The thicker stacks of paper where logs lived. He moved left. He opened a drawer and ran his fingers over the tabs. Dates. Units. Intake. He found the right year. He pulled out a thick binder. The paper was old, but the truth in it was fresh. He heard Starlight whisper in his ear. Camera flicker. 5 seconds. Matt moved fast. He handed the binder to Frenchie. "Copy it. Photograph every page." Frenchie's hands flew. "Yes, yes." Stood at the door, listening. Kimiko watched the hall. Butcher watched the stairwell like he wanted someone to come. Matt hated that part of him. But he also understood it. This world had taught Butcher that being ready to hurt was the only way to stay alive. Matt kept his focus. He flipped the binder pages. Names, dates, training accidents, unknown burns, settlement offered, children, adults, families. Matt's stomach tightened. Huey whispered, This is real." Matt didn't answer. His throat felt too tight. He kept turning pages. He found a section with coded notes. A stamp he recognized from the arbitration office. Grant's mark. A line that mentioned the lab code that matched Leo's flash drive. It connected. It held. This was the chain he needed. Then the hallway changed. The basement air shifted. Sound got smaller. The hole returned. Noir. Matt's head snapped up. Kimiko's posture changed too. Like an animal sensing another predator. Whispered, "We have company." Butcher smiled. Finally. Matt moved between the door and the room, batons in his hands. Noir didn't rush in. He stepped into view, silent, like he had always been there. His mask hid everything, but his body said enough. He had come for the logs. He had come for them. Matt whispered to Frenchie, "How much?" Frenchie whispered back, "Half, maybe more." Matt nodded. "Take what you have. We leave." Noir moved. Fast. Matt met him in the doorway so Noir couldn't enter the room fully. He needed to keep the others working for one more second. Noir's blade flashed. Matt blocked with a baton. Sparks bit the air. Noir kicked. Matt took the impact on his hip and rolled with it instead of fighting it. Pain shot through his ribs. He stayed on his feet. Matt struck Noir's wrist. Noir didn't drop the blade. Matt struck again, this time at the elbow joint. Noir's arm shifted. Kimiko hit Noir from the side, hard. Noir slid back half a step. Huey gasped. Kimiko. Kimiko didn't look back. She kept punching. Noir countered with speed that would have ended a normal person. Kimiko ate the hit, healed, hit back. Matt used the space Kimiko created. He leaned in and slammed his baton into Noir's ribs, then the knee, then the shoulder. Noir's breathing changed, a tiny sound. Pain registered again. Matt knew he couldn't win by knocking Noir out. Noir was built for this. So he changed the goal. He needed time. He needed an exit. He needed to keep Noir from the logs. Frenchie whispered, "Done. We go." Matt shouted, "Move." They pulled back into the hallway. Took the bag with the copied files. Huey grabbed Frenchie's arm and dragged him toward the stairs. Starlight moved behind them, ready to flash if needed. Matt and Kimiko stayed last, holding the line. Noir pursued. Noir didn't care about the bag. He cared about stopping them. He threw a small device that shrieked and flashed. Matt's hearing spiked with pain. He stumbled. Kimiko shoved him forward with a sharp push. Matt caught himself on the wall. He forced his breathing steady. He heard steps above. The guard. Coming back. Radio chatter. More security waking up. This was turning into a scene. Matt hated that too. They hit the stairwell. They ran up. Noir followed. Then the air changed again. Not the hole this time. A storm. A heavy heartbeat above the stairwell door, near the lobby. Homelander was inside the hospital. Matt's stomach dropped. Butcher heard it too, and the way Starlight froze and whispered, "No." They reached the lobby level. The door opened. Homelander stood near the front desk, smiling at a terrified nurse. The nurse's heartbeat was screaming. Homelander's was steady, like he was enjoying a quiet game. His head turned toward the stairwell, his eyes locked on Matt's face, even without a mask. Not recognition of a name, recognition of a problem. "There you are," Homelander said softly. The nurse took one shaky step back. Homelander didn't even look at her now. Matt stepped out slowly. He lifted his hands slightly, empty, so the nurse wouldn't think he was here to hurt her. Homelander's smile widened. "You like hospitals?" Matt's voice was calm. "People get hurt in hospitals." Homelander laughed a little. "That's true." His eyes flicked to the bag carried. "What did you take?" Homelander asked. MM's shoulders tensed. Butcher's hand tightened on his gun. Matt heard the nurse's breath catch. He heard cameras somewhere too. A security camera motor. Maybe even a phone in someone's pocket. Homelander was in public. That mattered. It was a thin shield, but it existed. Matt said, "Nothing that belongs to you." Homelander tilted his head. "Everything belongs to Vought." Matt didn't flinch. "No." Homelander took one step closer. The nurse behind him squeezed her eyes shut like she expected blood. Homelander's voice dropped lower, almost kind. "You're not from here. I can tell. So let me help you." Matt listened. Homelander's heartbeat jumped. Not fear, excitement. He wanted Matt to say yes, or he wanted Matt to refuse so he could punish him. Homelander continued, "Come with me. We can make you famous. We can make you safe. You can stop playing alley hero." Butcher muttered under his breath, "Don't you dare." Matt didn't look at Butcher. He kept his focus on Homelander. Matt said, "You don't make people safe. You make them quiet." Homelander's smile stayed, but his eyes sharpened. "Careful." Matt heard the truth under the warning. If Homelander wanted, he could end everyone here in seconds. Matt needed a different battlefield. He turned his head slightly, toward the nurse, toward the lobby, toward the public space. He spoke louder, not shouting, but clear. "This is a hospital," Matt said. "These people are not your props." Homelander's jaw tightened. The nurse opened her eyes and stared at Matt like he was insane. Homelander's eyes flicked to the security camera, then back to Matt. Homelander leaned close, too close. His voice went quiet again, for Matt alone. "You hear hearts. Homelander whispered. Hear this one. His heartbeat shifted, a sharp, ugly spike. Then he smiled wider. I could make that nurse disappear and still be a hero by breakfast. Matt's hands tightened, but he did not swing. He refused to give Homelander the reaction he wanted. Matt whispered back, You want me to break? Homelander's eyes shone. Yes, Matt said. Not here. Homelander's smile twitched. Then a phone camera clicked. Someone had started recording. Homelander's head snapped slightly toward the sound. He didn't like that. Matt heard it in the heartbeat. Homelander straightened, turning his smile back on. Well, Homelander said in his public voice, looks like the hospital has a pest problem. He glanced toward the nurse and patted her shoulder gently. Don't worry, we'll handle it. The nurse nodded, terrified. Homelander looked back at Matt. His eyes were colder now. Go, Homelander said, still smiling. Run. Matt didn't wait for permission. He moved. He signaled the team with one hand. They surged toward the side exit. Homelander did not chase. He let them leave. Because he could chase any time. And because he wanted them to feel that. Outside, Frenchie's van was already rolling up. They piled in. Matt was last again. He kept his head turned, listening to the hospital door. Homelander's heartbeat stayed inside, steady and satisfied. He was planning something. Matt sat in the van as it drove away. His hands shook for the first time in days. Not from pain. From what Homelander had whispered. From the calm way he could threaten a nurse and still smile. Starlight sat across from Matt, eyes wide and wet with anger. You were right, she whispered. Matt didn't answer. He stared into the dark and listened to the city. He heard the world's biggest lie breathing. And he knew it had noticed him fully now. Weeks passed. Not peaceful weeks, not safe ones, but weeks where Matt learned how this world worked when it wasn't on fire in front of cameras. He found a rhythm. In the day, he became counsel again, even without a name. He used burner phones and backroom meetings. He listened to victims talk until their voices broke. He wrote down their stories in a small notebook. Huey joked that Matt ran a legal helpline. Matt didn't correct him. It was the closest thing to the truth. Helped with logistics. He knew people. He knew safe routes. He knew how to move someone without making them feel like prey. Starlight brought quiet support in small ways. A ride. A warning. A moment when cameras went dark. Frenchie built better ear guards and called them music for the devil. Matt told him to stop naming things. Frenchie refused. Kimiko stayed near the people who needed a silent bodyguard. She didn't say she agreed with Matt's plan. But she showed up. At night, Matt did what he always did. He went out. He kept his mask on. He moved through alleys and rooftops and streets where people couldn't afford protection. He stopped crimes no one would ever film for likes. He pulled a woman away from a drunk man. He broke a gun and threw it in a river. He dragged a teenager out of a gang corner and sent him home. Each night, he wished for quiet. Each night, he found purpose instead. Butcher hated the slow pace. Butcher hated that Matt didn't want to kill. And Butcher hated most of all that Matt's way sometimes worked. One night, after Matt returned with bruises and a torn glove, Butcher threw a newspaper at him. The headline called Daredevil a foreign extremist. You see? Butcher snapped. You save people, and they still spit on you. Matt wiped blood from his lip. Then I keep saving. Butcher stared at him like he didn't understand how a person could be that stubborn. Huey, sitting on a couch, muttered, He's like a walking unpaid internship. Matt looked at him. What does that mean? Huey shrugged. It means you suffer for nothing and still show up. Matt nodded once. Yes. Butcher groaned. I hate all of you. Matt asked, Do you want to stop Vought or not? Butcher's answer was sharp. Yes. Matt held up a folder. Then we use what we got. The hospital logs and the arbitration files weren't perfect. They didn't show everything. But they showed enough to prove a pattern. They showed payouts tied to accidents that weren't accidents. They showed names that led to doctors, lawyers, and shipping routes. A chain. Matt built the chain. And once the chain existed, New people arrived to grab it. Victoria Newman called first. She didn't call the boys. She called a number that only Huey and Starlight knew. Huey came to Matt with the phone like it was a snake. "She says she can help," Huey said. Matt listened to the voice on the other end. Smooth, warm, careful. "Mr. Murdoch," Newman said, as if she already knew him. Matt's shoulders tightened. "I didn't give you my name," Matt said. Newman chuckled softly. "I have resources." Matt's voice stayed calm. "What do you want?" Newman's tone turned gentle. "I want justice. I want accountability. I want to protect people from Vought." Matt listened. Her heartbeat was steady. Too steady. A practiced steadiness. He heard something else too. Ambition. Newman said, "You have evidence. You have courage. But you don't have legal standing here. You don't have protection. I can give you both." Matt asked, "At what cost?" Newman sighed like she was hurt. "You always ask that." Matt didn't apologize. "Answer." Newman's voice stayed sweet. "Work with me. Give me the files. Let me shape the path forward. We do this properly." Matt heard the lie under the sweet words. Not a full lie. She probably did want to hurt Vought. But she wanted to own the story. Matt said, "I'll think about it." Newman replied, "Please do, before someone forces your hand." The call ended. Huey looked at Matt with wide eyes. That was scary polite. Matt nodded. "Yes." Butcher overheard and laughed. "Look at that. Politicians want you now." Matt didn't smile. "She wants the evidence." Butcher grinned. "Good. We want the evidence to land. Use her." Matt turned his head toward Butcher. "We don't use people." Butcher shrugged. "Then we lose." Matt's voice went cold. "We don't become them." Butcher's grin faded. Just a little. "You really believe that?" Matt answered, "Yes." Starlight watched the exchange with a tired look, like she'd seen this argument kill people inside her head for years. Then the second offer came. Not from a phone call. From a man in a suit who found Matt after a night patrol, in a quiet street where the cameras were broken. Matt heard him before he saw him. Clean shoes, controlled breathing. "No fear." The man said, "Mr. Daredevil." Matt stopped. The man continued, "I represent Vought." Matt's hands tightened. "Leave." The man smiled. "Stan Edgar would like a conversation." Matt said, "No." The man's smile didn't change. "It's not a request. It's an invitation." Matt listened. The man's heartbeat stayed steady, but there was a tremble under it. Fear of what would happen if he failed. Matt said, "Say what you came to say." The man nodded, relieved to follow a script. "Vought would like to offer you a position," he said. "A role, resources, training, safety. You could save more people with our support." Matt's voice was flat. "Under your leash." The man's eyes flicked, surprised. "You'd have oversight, of course, but you would be—" Matt cut him off. "A product." The man swallowed. "A hero." Matt took one slow step closer. "Tell Edgar this. You can't buy my code." The man's heartbeat jumped. "And tell him this," Matt added. "If he tries to bury me, he will have to bury the truth with me. And I'm not alone anymore." The man backed up fast. I'll deliver the message." He left. Matt stood in the quiet street and listened to the city. He waited for the third offer. The one he feared. It arrived 2 nights later. Homelander didn't send someone. Homelander came himself. Matt was on a rooftop, catching his breath after stopping a robbery. The robbers had run. The victim had cried and thanked him, then asked if he was with Vought. Matt hadn't answered. Now he stood alone in the dark. He heard the air shift above him. A soft landing. A cape settling. That heavy heartbeat. Homelander clapped slowly, like he was watching a show. "Look at you," Homelander said. "Still playing hero." Matt didn't turn right away. He kept his eyes forward. He kept his breathing steady. He turned slowly. Homelander floated a few inches above the rooftop, smiling like a poster. "I can do this all night," Homelander said. Matt's voice was calm. So can I. Homelander's smile twitched. You keep saying no. That's adorable. Homelander drifted closer. Here's my offer. Join the 7. Be real. Be famous. I'll even let you keep your little no-killing thing. For the cameras. Matt listened. Homelander's heartbeat sped up slightly when he said, for the cameras. Matt said, no. Homelander's smile stayed. His eyes didn't. You don't understand, Homelander whispered. I'm trying to help you. Matt answered, you're trying to own me. Homelander's jaw tightened. Then his voice turned soft, almost playful. Okay, new game. Matt's body tensed. Homelander leaned in like a friend, sharing a secret. You've got a witness, he whispered. A nurse friend. A scared little woman who thinks paper can save her. Matt's blood went cold. Mara. Matt kept his face still. He did not give Homelander the reaction he wanted. Homelander smiled wider. There it is. You care. Matt spoke carefully. If you touch her. Homelander laughed. What? You'll punch me? Matt didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said, you want to see me break my code? Homelander's eyes shone. Yes. Matt nodded slowly, as if accepting a fact. Then you'll fail. Homelander's smile faltered for half a second. Matt continued, you can hurt her. You can hurt me. You can hurt anyone. But you can't make me become you. Homelander's heartbeat spiked anger, sharp and hot. His eyes flashed slightly, like light trying to leak out. Then he forced the smile back on because he always did. Careful, Daredevil, Homelander said. You're starting to sound like you believe you matter. Matt answered, I do matter. Homelander hovered there, silent, like he was deciding whether to do something awful just to prove a point. Then a siren wailed far off. A car honked. A normal city sound. Homelander smiled again, slow. Fine. He pointed down at the street. Here's the deal. You do your little truth show. You leak your little papers, and I'll let you keep breathing. Homelander leaned closer. But the moment you make me look bad. His voice dropped to a whisper that only Matt could hear. I don't need cameras, Homelander said. I don't need rules. I don't need you. Homelander floated back. See you soon. Then he shot upward and vanished into the night. Matt stood alone on the rooftop. He put a hand on the side of his head. Not from pain, but from the noise of the world rushing back in. He wanted quiet. He didn't get it. They couldn't hide Mara forever. They moved her twice, then 3 times. Each move got tighter, harder, more dangerous. Vought had long arms. Matt knew the endgame had to come soon. So he made a decision that felt like stepping into a storm on purpose. He would bring the truth into the light. Not in a back room. Not in whispers. In a way that forced the world to look. They chose a public event. A small oversight hearing Newman had arranged about corporate safety. It wasn't meant to expose Vought fully. It was meant to look like something was being done. Matt didn't trust Neumann, but he could use the stage. Butcher loved it. Finally, he said, grinning. We blow the roof off. Matt corrected him. We present evidence. Butcher rolled his eyes. Yeah. We blow the roof off with evidence. Frenchie built a simple plan. He always did. Half wires, half luck. Starlight promised she could cut certain feeds if Vought tried to shut the whole thing down. Arranged exits. Kimiko stayed close to Mara, even in a different building, ready to move her fast if Homelander made his move. Huey was the messenger, the human face, the one who could walk through doors without alarms. Matt stayed masked. He couldn't risk the identity. Not yet. The day of the hearing, the room was full of suits and cameras. Not as many as a Vought event, but enough. Newman stood at the front, smiling like she cared about every person in the city. Matt listened from a side corridor, behind a door, with a small earpiece in. He could hear every heartbeat in the room. He could hear lies before they became words. Grant was there too. Vought legal, sitting calm and smug. A Vought spokesperson spoke on record. Vought is committed to safety. Matt's jaw tightened. Huey sat at a table as a concerned citizen, His leg bounced under the table. MM's voice came through Matt's earpiece. "You ready?" Matt's answer was simple. "Yes." Frenchie whispered, "On my signal, we send the files." Matt waited. Newman called the next speaker. "Mr. Campbell." Huey stood. His voice was shaky at first, then steadier. "My name is Huey Campbell. I'm here because I've seen what Vought covers up." Grant smiled like Huey was a child telling stories. Matt listened to Grant's heartbeat. It stayed calm. Too calm. Huey held up a binder. "These are hospital intake logs. Not for the public. For settlements." A murmur moved through the room. Grant's heartbeat ticked up slightly. Not fear. Annoyance. The Vought spokesperson leaned forward. "Those documents are not authenticated." Huey swallowed. "They are real." Grant stood smoothly. "This is stolen property. This is a smear." Newman raised a hand. "Sit down, Mr. Grant." Grant smiled and sat. Like the room belonged to him anyway. Matt heard it. Neumann was controlling the room, yes. But she was also watching how far this could go without burning her. Matt didn't care about her calculation right now. He cared about truth landing. Frenchie's voice crackled. "Now." A second later, phones in the room buzzed. Not one. Many. Journalists had received a package. Copies, photos, cross-referenced files from Leo's flash drive, the arbitration office, and the hospital basement. The chain. The room changed. Heartbeats jumped. People whispered. The Vought spokesperson's voice tightened. "This is..." Matt stepped through the side door. He didn't walk to the front like a performer. He walked like a man walking into court. He stood near Huey, just behind him, a silent red presence. The room went quiet. A camera zoom motor whirred. Someone whispered, "That's him." Newman's eyes widened slightly, then smoothed into a smile again. "And who are you?" Matt didn't take off his mask. He kept his voice calm, clear, simple. "I'm here because people were hurt," Matt said, "and because money covered it up." Grant stood. "This man is a criminal." Matt turned his head slightly toward Grant. He listened to Grant's heartbeat and breath. Then he spoke. "You're lying," Matt said. A ripple went through the room. Grant's smile stiffened. "Excuse me?" Matt kept his voice even. "You've seen these logs. You know they exist. You know the settlements exist. You know you've threatened people into silence." Grant's heartbeat spiked. Not because Matt accused him. Because Matt was accurate. Grant's voice sharpened. "This is harassment." Matt didn't raise his voice. "Ask him if he's ever met a nurse named Mara." Grant's eyes flicked for half a second. Matt heard the truth in that tiny movement. Newman's smile tightened. "Mr. Grant?" Grant's jaw clenched. The Vought spokesperson cut in. "This is a spectacle." Matt turned toward the spokesperson. "You keep saying safety," Matt said. "But you paid victims instead of protecting them." The spokesperson forced a smile. "We are reviewing..." Matt cut him off gently. "Your heart rate just jumped. Your breathing just changed. You're scared. Because this is real." The room froze. Newman's eyes narrowed. This was not normal testimony. This was something else. Matt wasn't reading minds. He was reading the body's truth. And people could feel it. A reporter raised a hand, voice excited. "Are you saying you can detect lies?" Matt answered. "I'm saying I can tell when someone is afraid of the truth." Grant snapped. "This is insane." Matt didn't move. "Then deny it cleanly." Grant's mouth opened. And the room heard it too, even if they didn't know what Matt heard. The hesitation. The dodge. The fear. That was enough. Not for a conviction, but enough for belief to crack. Then the air changed. Matt felt it before the room did. A heavy heartbeat outside the building. A wind shift. A crowd noise rising. Cameras outside turning toward the sky. Starlight's voice came tight in Matt's ear. "He's here." Matt's stomach dropped. Homelander. The room's windows shook slightly as a sonic boom hit the air. Then the front doors opened. Homelander walked in like the sun had decided to enter a room. People gasped. Phones rose. Some people smiled without meaning to. Some people looked like they wanted to hide. Homelander smiled at the cameras. "Hi," he said warmly. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic." Newman's smile returned like armor. "Homelander, this is a government hearing." Homelander laughed softly. "And I'm a concerned citizen." He walked down the aisle and stopped in front of Matt. Up close, Homelander's power was a pressure. Not magic, not a glow, just the sense that he could do anything. Homelander looked at Matt's mask. "You really love drama." Matt's voice stayed calm. "This isn't drama. It's evidence." Homelander smiled wider. "Evidence? Against Vought?" He looked around like he was amused. "That's cute." Homelander leaned closer. His voice dropped so only Matt heard. "You want to be a symbol," Homelander whispered. "Symbols snap." Matt didn't flinch. He said quietly, "You won't hurt anyone in here." Homelander's smile twitched. "And why not?" Matt didn't boast. He simply pointed his chin slightly toward the cameras and the room full of witnesses. "Because you need them to love you," Matt said. Homelander's heartbeat spiked. A sharp, angry spike. For half a second his eyes flashed. A reporter near the front gasped and leaned back. Homelander froze himself. He forced the smile back on. He turned to the cameras and spread his arms. "Look," Homelander said, loud and friendly. "We take allegations seriously. We always have." Newman's eyes narrowed. She knew he was stealing the room. Homelander looked at Matt again, smiling. "But this guy, he's a terrorist. He stole private medical records. He attacked a public event. He hurt people." Matt listened. Homelander was lying. Big. Matt could say it out loud, but he knew something too. If he embarrassed Homelander here, in front of cameras, Homelander might choose violence anyway. Matt had to pick the right pressure. So he didn't call Homelander a liar. He asked a question. "Then why didn't you stop me?" Matt said, voice calm. "You met me. You found me. You let me go. Twice." The room went still. Homelander's smile tightened. Matt continued, still calm. "If I'm a terrorist, why do you keep letting me live?" Homelander's heartbeat jumped again. This wasn't a punch. It was a pin. Homelander's eyes sharpened. He leaned in and whispered, "Because I'm enjoying this." Matt nodded once, like he had expected that answer. Then Matt turned slightly toward the microphones again. "I didn't come here to fight Homelander," Matt said. "I came here to protect people who can't fight him." Newman's face softened for the cameras. Grant's face hardened. Huey stood beside Matt, shaking, but upright. Matt held the room with simple truth. Homelander couldn't hit him without proving Matt right. That was the cage. Homelander smiled, wider and wider, until it looked almost painful. Then Homelander laughed. "Okay," he said brightly. "You made your little speech." He looked at the cameras. "We'll investigate." He looked back at Matt. His voice dropped, just for Matt again. "This was fun," Homelander whispered. "Now it's personal." Homelander turned and walked out, still smiling like a hero. The moment he was gone, the room exploded into noise. Reporters shouted questions. Newman tried to regain control. Grant pushed toward Huey, angry. Security moved in, confused about who they were supposed to stop. MM's voice crackled in Matt's ear. "Exit. Now." Matt touched Huey's shoulder. "Move." Huey nodded like his body finally remembered how. Matt did not stay to enjoy the moment. He didn't believe in victory laps. They slipped out through a side corridor and down a stairwell. Starlight met them at the bottom, breath tight. Cars are coming. Matt listened. He heard them too. Vought security, police, and behind them, the distant heavy heartbeat in the sky, circling like a shark that could fly. They escaped because they planned for it. Because MN mapped exits. Because Frenchie had a van ready. Because Kimiko could break a lock with one shove. Because Starlight could blind a camera at the perfect second. Because Matt knew when to stop running straight and start turning corners. They didn't win by beating Homelander. They survived, and the truth went out anyway. That night, the story didn't belong to Vought alone. Not anymore. Later, in a clean office far above the city, Stan Edgar watched the clips roll in. He didn't shout. He didn't throw anything. He simply watched. A masked man in red, calmly pinning Vought's narrative in front of cameras. Homelander smiling too hard. Newman wearing concern like a suit. Edgar's assistant asked, nervous, "Sir, what do we do?" Edgar's eyes stayed on the screen. "We adapt." The assistant swallowed. "Do we remove him?" Edgar paused. "No," Edgar said. "Not yet." "Why?" the assistant whispered. Edgar's voice was calm. "Because removing him loudly creates a martyr, and martyrs are uncontrollable." The assistant nodded fast. Edgar added almost to himself, "He is not strong enough to kill Homelander." No one replied. No one dared. Edgar's eyes narrowed slightly. But he is strong enough to change the story. That was the true threat. In another place, Homelander stood alone and stared at his reflection again. His smile looked perfect. His heartbeat did not. He whispered, angry and almost amused, "He thinks cameras protect him." Homelander's eyes flashed for a second, then settled. He turned away from the mirror. He didn't need to punch through walls. He could break a code. He could break a person. And he knew exactly where to start. Matt didn't sleep that night. He sat in the hideout with earguards on and listened to the city. Huey sat nearby, scrolling through the news on his phone with shaking hands. "They're talking about it," Huey whispered. "Like, real talking?" Matt asked. "Are they believing it?" Huey nodded slowly. "Some are. Some aren't. Vought is pushing back hard. But people are asking questions." Matt closed his eyes. Questions were not justice. But questions were the beginning. Butcher leaned on a doorway, watching Matt. "You didn't punch him," Butcher said. Matt didn't open his eyes. "No." Butcher's voice was rough. "And he still left," Matt answered, "because he had to." Butcher was quiet for a moment. Then he said, almost grudging, "Your way did something." Matt opened his eyes and looked toward Butcher. "It's not done," Matt said. Butcher's grin returned, but it was thinner than usual. "Never is." Matt nodded once. He listened to the city again. He heard fear. He heard anger. He heard hope trying to breathe. And he knew what came next. Homelander had promised it. Vought would tighten its grip. Newman would try to claim the win. The boys would argue again. People like Mara would still be in danger. Matt was still a stranger in this world. He still didn't have a legal name here. But he had something else. A code that hadn't snapped. Not yet. The next morning, the city sounded different. Not quieter. Never quieter. But different. Matt stood on a rooftop with a light wind brushing his face. The sun warmed the edge of his mask. He listened. He heard a man in a coffee line saying, "Did you see that devil guy?" He heard another voice answer, "He's fake." Vought says. He heard the first man reply, "Yeah, but..." Homelander looked weird. Matt's mouth tightened. He didn't want to be a celebrity. He wanted people safe. Still, he couldn't pretend it didn't matter. A crack in fear was still a crack. Behind him, a small door opened. Starlight stepped out, hood up, eyes tired. She joined him without speaking for a few seconds. Then she said, "Quiet. You poked the bear." Matt answered, "Yes." Starlight looked out at the city. "He's going to come for you." Matt nodded. "Yes." She glanced at him. "And you're still here." Matt's voice was simple. "Yes." Starlight let out a breath, almost a laugh, almost a sob. "You're insane." Matt didn't argue. He listened again. Far below, on a side street, a child was playing with a cheap red mask made of plastic. The child jumped from a low step and shouted, "I'm Daredevil." His friend yelled back, "No, you're not." The child said, "I'm real." Matt's chest tightened in a way that hurt and warmed at the same time. He turned his head slightly, focusing on the child's laugh. It was normal. It was small. It was proof that the world hadn't crushed everything yet. Starlight watched him, noticing the pause. "What?" she asked. Matt said, "People copy what they need." Starlight's eyes softened. Matt stayed still as the city's noise washed over him. He wanted quiet. He wouldn't get it. But he would take something else. He would take the job. Down in the streets, danger still moved. Vought still lied. Homelander still hunted. But somewhere under all that noise, a new sound existed now. A question. And Matt Murdock, the man in the red mask, listened to it like it mattered. Because it did.